new recommendations and referrals made by the Commission on the basis of evidence heard since the start of 2026.
Meanwhile, the Commission is expected to continue scrutinizing operations at IDAC. The inquiry yesterday heard there was a plot by some senior IDAC officials to get rid of suspended Police Commissioner Fani Masemola and Crime Intelligence Head Dumisani Khumalo. IDAC prosecutor Dushanta Ramsamy revealed this during her testimony. She says it seems former IDAC head Andrea Johnson and the unit's chief investigator Dylan Perumal were allegedly plotting against Khumalo and Masemola. Alfa Ramushwana has more.
The Madlang Commission has been looking into whether there was a concerted effort by some IDAC officials to remove Crime Intelligence head Dumisani Khumalo from his position. The Commission heard yesterday that in April last year, then IDAC head Andrea Johnson allegedly pressured her team to effect arrests in the unit's crime intelligence investigation. Khumalo was eventually arrested, but recent testimony from several witnesses has suggested that his arrest was not only premature, but was also based on inaccurate evidence. IDAC prosecutor Dushanta Ramsamy says Johnson and the unit's suspended chief investigator Dylan Perumal appeared to have hidden motives against suspended National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola and Khumalo.
My understanding of the narrative by then was exactly what they were perpetuating, that General Khumalo and General Masemola, they need to be gone.
The Commission has also heard evidence pointing to several weaknesses in IDAC's case against the suspended National Police Commissioner. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The Magistrates Commission has formally appointed an investigator to probe the conduct of former Mpumalanga Chief Magistrate Thuletu Tonjeni. The investigations follows Tonjeni's handling of a high-profile extortion case against taxi bosses Joe Ferraris Banyoni, Bafana Sindane and two others. The NPA lodged a complaint after Tonjeni struck the R2 million case off the roll in May, found prosecutor Mkhuseli Ntaba in contempt of court and authorized a warrant for his arrest. Mongezi Gogo has more.
Just days after the ruling, the NPA re-enrolled the case in Dalmis while Tonjeni retired from the bench at the end of May, bringing an end to any possible disciplinary proceedings against her. Although the Magistrates Commission no longer has the power to charge Tonjeni for misconduct following her retirement, it says its ethics committee recommended that an independent investigator be appointed to examine the complaint. The investigator was appointed on the 6th of July and has already commenced the investigation. The Commission says witnesses have been subpoenaed and will be interviewed before a report is submitted later this month. The Ethics Committee will then consider the findings before making recommendations to the full Commission. Mongezi Gogo, Eyewitness News.
And the leader of Spain's North African territory of Ceuta says the number of children left there after last week's rush of migrants is unsustainable. Spain says 70,000 of the 72,000 migrants who entered Ceuta from Morocco have returned after the deadly influx sparked a spat with EU partners seeking a harder line on immigration. But the roughly 2,500 who remain include hundreds of unaccompanied minors who are enduring dire conditions with limited access to food, water, shelter and sanitation. Groups of young migrants are still in the street of Ceuta, while others are gathering in parks and beaches as authorities work to identify and accommodate them. The charity Save the Children estimates that around 1,000 unprotected children are among the migrants. Gold is trading at $4,265.59 an ounce. The rand is at 16.33 to the dollar, 21.98 to the pound, 18.86 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.10 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on Greyston Drive coming out of Catherine Street. This is due to an accident. There's also queuing traffic reported in Eldorado Park along the N12 West between Main Road and the R554. Please be on the lookout there. An earlier accident is causing these delays.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 25 degrees. The breaking story this hour, the Madlang Commission has recommended disciplinary action against 4 people who appeared before it, including suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. Good to have you with us here on 702. I hope grand this morning. So, not so long ago this morning, President Cyril Ramaphosa's office released a statement sharing the referrals and recommendations of the Madlanga Commission's second interim report that was sent to the President. Remember, earlier this year at the end of May, that was the second interim report. And in that report, we found out this morning that the Commission in that report recommends the institution of disciplinary proceedings and the immediate investigation of criminal conduct, and if sufficient evidence be found to exist, the institution of criminal proceedings against the following individuals. So Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, Witness G, who was alleged to be Brown Mokhotzi's co-handler, Sergeant Fanning Kosi, and Brown Mokhotzi. So these are the four individuals that the Madlanga Commission, in its second interim report to the President, have recommended that disciplinary proceedings or criminal charges be instituted against them. So the Commission has also recommended that the Office of the Inspector General for Intelligence or another functionary with the necessary authority conduct an immediate investigation into the off-the-books operation of crime intelligence in which Brown Mokhotzi and Witness G were allegedly involved. So, are you surprised? Let me get your reaction first, because these are news that really came not so long ago. Are you surprised at all by these additional names? I have been waiting to see how the Commission will deal with evidence that's been revealed about Shadrack Sibiya. So, he is now on the list of those the Commission recommend must be investigated and that disciplinary proceedings be instituted against them. And as you know, Shadrack Sibiya is under suspension still. There are disciplinary proceedings against him. I'm not sure if the process has started as yet, but he was already facing disciplinary proceedings within the SAPS. Are you surprised about Senzo Mchunu's name? Because it's still not on the list, even in this interim report. Senzo Mchunu's name is still not included on the list. And maybe that's because there hasn't really been evidence that directly links him to possible criminality. Sure, maybe you can argue he should have done better before instructing that the PKTT be disbanded without allowing even a briefing or getting an assessment report on the work that the PKTT has done. So that's an argument you can make. Or you may argue that he interfered in the operations of the SAPS, by issuing that instruction and didn't even want to take advice from the National Police Commissioner. But none of that means he's involved in criminality, whether we like it or not. And maybe that's why the name is not included there, because there hasn't really been key evidence that links him to criminality. So I want to know if you're disappointed at all by this list. Who do you think should have been added on the list to be investigated? I suspect that the next report will have names of people like General Khan and Advocate Andrea Johnson. And the reason their names are not on this interim report, I assume it's because this report was prepared before what's been revealed about their conduct. So no doubt in the second report, their names are going to be there. But yeah, are you disappointed? How do you feel about this list and what the Commission has recommended in its second interim report to the President? And also, where is Hangwani Maumela? Why is his name not featuring here? And there's still no indication of whether he is going to appear before the Madlanga Commission. There's no indication as to whether he's been approached to appear. honestly, if the Madlanga Commission concludes its work and they still haven't heard from this man, that would be very bizarre, at least to me. That would be very, very bizarre. When is he appearing before the commission? So, who do you want to see appear before the Madlanga Commission before it wraps up? Definitely for me, Hangwani Maumela's name is at the top. General Khan has to get better. Please, guys, you have to pray for him. Ben Impepo, if that's what you do. Just do what you gotta do. We need this man to appear before the commission because it seems he's at the center of so many things that have gone wrong. He needs to appear before the commission and he needs to be investigated. He's probably the richest crime intelligence officer that we know of, with influence at IDAC through Gorgeous Johnson, influence in the SAPS through a number of generals, influence in treasury tenders through, remember the then chief procurement officer at treasury at the time, Molefe Fani, influence in politics through Julius Malema because they have a close relationship via Said. This is a very connected man and likely one of the most dangerous men. In fact, I want you to listen to this clip by, this is Advocate Drushanta Ramsamy, yesterday at the Madlanga Commission, which really helps us connect the dots here. She revealed yesterday that it appears Andrea Johnson's husband is friends with General Khan. What does that tell you? It's not a coincidence then that Andrea Johnson moved mountains for Khan. It's not a coincidence that she violated her oath of office, violated the NPA Act, acted unethically, likely perjured herself, all to benefit Khan and her husband. So things are becoming clearer and clearer. This is what she told the commission yesterday.
And then I had heard about Advocate Johnson's husband and Mr. Khan being friends. Then all of this happened. So I put 4 and 4 together, and I realized that there were other aspects at play, which made me even more cautious with my note-taking, my written objections, notifying management of how procedures are not being followed. And the mere fact that the Feroz Khan affidavit in the Lushaba matter was kept from me. There's an email to that effect where I'm saying I'm not even made aware of it. I've now had 2 court appearances. I have replied to requests for further particulars. So when I disclose this, it's going to look like I'm hiding information from the defense. So I also vocalized my concerns about General Khan's involvement. It also became very clear his agenda when I started reading his affidavits. And I put so in 2 memos, that he's only speaking about his own issues. So I do believe that he had influence on these matters and how they progressed.
The investigations and the decisions to prosecute.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
So that's how influential General Khan is. That's very, part of what we heard yesterday is that Andrea Johnson gave Khan's personal contact number to the investigators and said, before you do certain things, just check with Khan. Before you serve the crime intelligence officers, check with Khan. Really? And he's a witness in the cases and he's also involved now in the investigation processes? Andrea Johnson was clearly willing to move mountains here. And what we've been trying to answer through connecting the dots over the last couple of weeks is why. But it's becoming clearer now. And Advocate Ramsamy says, it seems Andrea Johnson's husband was friends with General Khan. Now, here's something else that helps us connect the dots. She also testified yesterday about the suspended police minister, Senzo Mchunu, and how he was also at the center of IDAC's investigation into crime intelligence?
I picked up that there was, firstly, that this was not the first meeting, but what Advocate Johnson eventually said was that the minister wants to really clean up crime intelligence and SAPS. So I thought that was the purpose.
Just so that we are not confused, on 239, because you're talking about the meeting on the 20th.
Correct.
The late night meeting.
The night meeting, correct.
I don't know how late, but let's say it's an evening meeting.
Correct.
Let me not say late night. This one is on the 23rd of January 2025.
Correct.
And it must have taken place in the morning because Advocate Johnson says just met the minister now.
Correct, at 13:44.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, sorry. So at this page 239 and your evidence so far, there's then been at least 2 meetings between the minister and Ms. Johnson.
Correct.
According to this. Are you aware of any further meetings?
Not directly aware. I would just, in the meetings here, the minister said.
Okay.
But I didn't know how it was communicated or whether they were still meeting.
So it's very clear that it was so coordinated. So let's go back to the dots we connected last week, or was it the week before? Remember, I was asking, why did Andrea Johnson do this? It appears, at least to me, which is what I said a week ago, these people were setting themselves up to get to the higher echelons of their departments. Senzo Mchunu clearly was very much involved here in investigations into crime intelligence. Remember, Senzo Mchunu wants to be the next president of this country. In this country, historically, how do you become the next president? Well, you need to have a lot of money. In fact, isn't that what the ANC has even admitted in its own diagnosis? The role of money in elections? And what's the best way to get money for your campaign is through crime intelligence. Because there's no really effective oversight mechanisms over how crime intelligence spends its money. These are spies. We're not allowed to even know about the intricacies of how they spend their money. Yes, there's a committee in parliament that sort of provides oversight. Yes, there's an inspector general of intelligence. But there's a lot they can just justify. I mean, they could spurge, 50 million rand on property, and then they can come and claim that, well, that was actually to protect witnesses or some people who were helping them with information or agents. So that's the best way to really get money. So stay with me. We said a couple of weeks ago, Senzo Mchunu wants to be president. So if you want to be president and you want to use probably crime intelligence money, what do? Well, you need someone close to you to run crime intelligence. Senzo Mchunu was obsessed clearly through his involvement in IDAC investigations. He was obsessed with getting Khumalo out. Why? So that Khan probably comes up and becomes the head of crime intelligence. And when Khan becomes the head of crime intelligence, who becomes his deputy? Andrea Johnson's husband probably becomes Khan's deputy. And then what happens to Andrea Johnson? Well, Andrea Johnson is going to move mountains, violate her oath of office, violate the NPA Act, act unethically, put pressure on investigators, appoint junior investigators, basically perjure herself and do anything possible to ensure that the plan to get Khumalo out is effected. And Khumalo is out. What's in it for her? I've argued to you. She was probably promised, we're going to support you becoming the head of the NPA. My goodness, can you imagine if we found ourselves in that situation where Andrea Johnson, as unethical as we know her to be now, is the head of the NPA? Where Senzo Mchunu, with the obsession that we know about him and crime intelligence, becomes the president of this country. And my goodness, can you imagine a crime intelligence under General Khan, headed by General Khan? Can you imagine what country we would be living in? Khan, probably the richest crime intelligence officer, the one who concocts, from the evidence we've heard at the Madlanga Commission, tenders even at treasury level. Those are the people that would have run the most important institutions in this country. So thank goodness their ways have been exposed. And we are learning more and more about why they were so obsessed with getting crime intelligence officers out and why they were helping each other. It's because they were just trying to set themselves up. It was all for personal benefit. And that's what makes it the worst. It's got nothing to do with the best interests of this country. Let me know your thoughts on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. At 10 o'clock, we'll do the Hanging Out feature. Today, we're hanging out with award-winning artist Zamajobe. She really is one of South Africa's most distinctive and soulful voices in music. And she, as she emerges from a transformative decade-long hiatus, we'll find out what that meant for her and how her career is going now. That's between 10 and 11 o'clock. At 11, we're going to do our Thursday dialogue. Today, I want us to discuss the NSFAS stabilization plan. Can this stabilization plan get NSFAS out of its troubles? Because we've seen different administrators arrive with different turnaround plans. How different is this one? I'll bring in the administrator at NSFAS, Professor Hlengani Matebula, and also other stakeholders in higher education. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Hey, good morning, Clement. Now for an interim report, that list is okay, the way it is. I hear you maybe bemoan the fact that maybe Senzo Mchunu is not there. That would be worrying. But now after the testimony of Ramsamy yesterday, then definitely Senzo will be there. He will be the main character in the final report. It's good that Sibiya is there, Bramohotsi, and then we expect people like Maumela to be in the next report. Khan, obviously, Karim, and every one of them. They should be there in the next report. Thanks, Clement. Great show.
Hey, morning, Clement. Aubrey and First Lawrence. Clement, on my side, I'm very happy to see one particular Shadrach Sibiya, Clement. This guy, you can check his history. He was sometimes suspended and then he came back. Even in the Senzo Mchunu murder, this guy somehow he has a finger in the pie somewhere. So I just wish they deal with him positively. So angazi noma why pass or why fail. But let's just say it's not it's not positive. But today I've had a positive thing. Yeah. So that one we know what why fail. But I'm happy that finally let us deal with these individuals. Once we shake him, Clement, we'll see what will fall. This guy is a very problematic guy, Shadrach Sibiya. Let us deal with him like what we are doing with Julius Mkhwanazi. Thank you.
Morning, Clement and the team. To me, with the report now, I'm not disappointed at some names that are not coming out yet, especially when it comes to Mchunu, because from yesterday's testimony, you kind of got an idea as to there is something, some hand like politically there. So probably the last one he will be mentioned. And also when it comes to Khan, Angere just said that people must make a plan not to appear before Madlanga. Maybe he made a plan so that it doesn't have to appear before Madlanga. So we will see about that. As for Sibiya, it's been long coming. That guy, icon. If you go back, icon.
Well, he is now on the list of people who must face disciplinary proceedings, but also on the list of people who must be criminally charged if sufficient evidence exists. So remember that task team that's going to investigate, the cases or the recommendations emanating from the Madlanga Commission. I'm sure they're going to start working on those matters. And maybe they even started a while back before even these recommendations, because nothing stops them from starting with investigations. Lesego, you are calling us from the Northwest. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
No, thank you and good morning. Apologies for that. Yes, I thought you made everything now, it's all about Madlanga Commission, and doesn't it resemble much of this so-called like the blacklist with Raymond Reddington? Because you make a good point about how they siphon money through intelligence. And it's interesting that the Madlanga Commission as yet hasn't really subpoenaed people's bank statements to really follow the money as to where it's all going effectively and where it's been housed and with shell companies and the like. And maybe it's too far-fetched or it's too conspiracy theorist of me, but then we might find that this is not just really centralized to South Africa. A lot of these CIA operations are quite international. So you could get, the MI6s and the CIAs as well involved, because it's all about, like you mentioned, regime change, who wants to be president, and when you're president, obviously, you're the number one person in the country. So for me, it's a situation where, like, why haven't the bank statements as yet been released? If we can see that the most drivers for people, it's generally money and power. So we understand the element about power, potentially that they're looking to centralize power and own it to that nature. But then where's the money then going to? How come we haven't really seen that element of it being discussed? So I just want to maybe to put that into the pot and see if something can come out of it as well. But thanks for the great show.
No, thank you, Lesotho. And look, maybe the Madlanga Commission has subpoenaed some banking statements. Look, I'm not too crazy about the bank statements. You know why? But I do think they're critical. I think they are important to still look at. But I don't think we need to accept that criminals are always a step further, very advanced. So if you still want to follow the money only through statements, that's a modus operandi that worked 10 years ago, maybe. Actually, 10, 15 years ago. In recent time, criminals are smart. Crooks are smart. They're not stupid enough to use their own bank accounts. In fact, I would argue it's the naive ones that actually still do that. They're very intelligent, so that's why you see evidence of impalas being transported to Shadrach Sibiya's farm. That's why you see evidence being suggested that cash was given to these people. Even in the Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula matter, you see, the person who is alleging that the minister was corrupt and wanted kickbacks is talking only about cash. Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula never said, hey, here's my account details, or here's my brother's account details. No. They've become much clever, and you need to look at other ways that these kickbacks or monies could have gone back to them. In this case, we're seeing a coordinated attack. We are seeing a coordinated attack against people who haven't done anything wrong from the evidence we have seen. I mean, there's a message from Amelia that I see on the WhatsApp line here who says, Clement, I don't disagree too much with your analysis of Johnson, but the ferocity with which you deliver your argument has the hallmarks of Fox News talking points. It's incredibly hard to understand how the media is being used to advance certain arguments, and just your choice of talking points all sounds like they've been placed in front of you by a paymaster. Amelia, with such a beautiful name, Batung Amelia. Do you not get it? If you are a South African that cares about a corruption institution that must do its work and do it well and ethically, you would be concerned about what Andrea Johnson has done. She's not only acted unethically, she's violated the NPA Act. She's had to apologize even to people that she insisted must be charged even when they had done nothing wrong. There was no evidence even of corruption. She was charging people for crimes they may or may not commit later. Are you kidding me? That doesn't concern you? It's a concern. What I'm trying to do is to connect the dots, because we've gone past Andrea Johnson's involvement here and how complicit, that's the word I'm looking for. We've gone past their complicity. That's established. She has made concessions at the Madlanga Commission. In fact, if the NDPP or if the NPA is not already investigating Andrea Johnson's even on perjury charges, that would be so problematic. I'm hoping soon, in a few weeks' time, they're going to tell us that we are investigating her, because what she has conceded to, what has been revealed, backed by evidence, shows that she may have perjured herself. She may have lied even at the ad hoc committee. Those are the concessions she's made. If that doesn't concern you, then I don't know. We've moved past her complicity. The issue now is, what was the point? And my suggestion to you is, given the desperation, given the dots we've been connecting, it seems like actually this was for personal benefit. She was promised, don't worry, we're going to get you to be the head of the NPA. Khan, don't worry, you're going to be the head of intelligence. Therefore, that's going to benefit who? Senzo Mchunu. whom is going to probably be helped via crime intelligence to be the president of this country. And I'm arguing to you, those were what was pushing these people to be so desperate to even institute charges against people that did nothing wrong. It's 9:32. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. As the Matlanga Commission continues with its work, details of its second report reveal a recommendation for disciplinary action against 4 people who appeared before it, including suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia. Embattled Sergeant Fanny Nkosi, self-proclaimed political fixer Ramaphosa, and a protected witness known only as Witness G have also been singled out in the Commission's latest report, which was handed to President Cyril Ramaphosa at the end of May. Investigations are underway following the death of a nursing student whose body was found in her room at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Nursing College in Soweto. The Gauteng Health Department says the 19-year-old was found on Monday evening after a friend requested a wellness check. Security officials, accompanied by the friend, entered the room and found the student dead. And a drone carrying an explosive device has been found at a German airport. A robot was deployed at the Leipzig-Halle airport after the device was spotted by an employee near Ukrainian cargo planes overnight. Police say a second unidentified object also collided with a cargo aircraft near the same airport, but it landed in Hanover with minor damage. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling in 4 ways, we've got an accident on the N1 North. It happened right after Winnie Mandela Drive. It's causing heavy delays. There's also queuing traffic reported on the M1 South heading towards Melrose just as you approach Corlett Drive. While heading towards the Bedfordview area, there's queuing traffic on the N12 West between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. The N3 South is also backed up towards the Kilulis turnoff. And then if you are travelling on the N12 West in the Eldorado Park area, do expect heavy traffic volumes. This is between Klipspruit Valley Road and the Abu Bakr Asford Drive. This is due to an accident, so please approach with care. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's Harold's hotline. Pat on the line.
Harold, I'm panicking. I've been walking around the mall for 4 hours. I'm currently staring at a scented candle, a car tire pressure gauge, and a pack of batteries. Should I just get all of them?
Gee, Pat, you're not buying a birthday gift. You're building a lost and found bin.
I thought if I get enough variety, one of them had to hit the mark.
My friend, you're confusing a birthday with a roadside emergency kit.
The mall is closing in 10 minutes, Harold.
Good. Get out of there, click on Net Florist, get a beautiful floral arrangement and a personalised bottle of their favourite wine. Net Florist. It's easy to show you care.
Spinner Zonke celebrates a major milestone. The online gaming powerhouse from Hollywood Bets now offers over 3,000 games. Spinner Zonke boasts unbeatable diversity and range, featuring a wealth of games from across the gaming spectrum. Over 35 of the world's top game design studios feature in the sizzling slots on Spinner Zonke. Gripping graphics and sublime sound ensure the most immersive gaming experience imaginable. Play now.
Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports. No more disconnected systems. No more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on istratgo.com. istratgo.com.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Quite a big change for the crypto industry. What regulations would there be to manage these flows of money across borders? Is it really going to be possible to enforce these? Because crypto is crypto.
I think the borders are going to be where they're going to catch it. I think they might not be able to track and trace it on the actual rails themselves, but they will catch you on a fraudulent non-disclosure or negligent non-disclosure, and that's a criminal offence. You can go to jail.
Natalie Scott is a director at Worksman's Attorneys.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking.
Africa's energy future takes more than ambition. It takes turning plans into projects, opportunity into investment, intent into execution. At Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, we help connect the capital, expertise, and opportunity needed to bring sustainable projects to life across Africa. That's how we're invested in Africa's energy future.
Your voice, your station, your open line. Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock on the 702 open line this morning, we've been discussing the interim report from the Madlanga Commission. There's a second one that was sent to President Cyril Ramaphosa. By the way, how do you feel about these reports not being released publicly? Yeah, I'm sorry, but I do not trust. I have no trust. I want to read the reports myself. I want to read what the commissioners are recommending. What are they saying about even Senzo Mchunu? Because maybe they're not recommending criminal charges, but maybe they've recommended that the president take action against him. But how would we know that when these reports are still being kept secret? And look, I get it because it's interim report. So the president's argument could be that I'm still waiting for the final report and you'll see the final report. But I just don't trust politicians who protect each other. And President Cyril Ramaphosa has done so. He's protected other people. He failed to act against certain people for his own political expediency. Has it not happened like that? I've given examples before. With the former Minister of Health, Zweli Mkhize. He waited for Zweli Mkhize to resign. With Arthur Fraser, even with everything he knew about Arthur Fraser from the investigations he himself commissioned against him, he still gave Arthur Fraser a job as Commissioner at Correctional Services. I can go on and on and on. There are many problematic appointments he himself has made before, and it was all for political expediency. So how do we know? How do we know if the Madlanga Commission has actually made recommendations against certain politicians, but the president is choosing to not act against them? We need to see the report for ourselves and read it. So I can't really wait for the final report to be released because so far we are told the interim reports are not going to be made public. But on the open line this morning, we're talking about what's been recommended in the second interim report that the commission sent to the president at the end of May. The president has now revealed through a statement this morning that there are 4 individuals that the commission has recommended that disciplinary proceedings be instituted against and immediate investigations of criminal conduct as well. And if sufficient evidence is found to exist, the institution of criminal proceedings against these individuals. And that's Shadrach Sibiya, that is Witness G, who was alleged to be Brown Mokhotzi's co-handler, that's Sergeant Faninkosi and Brown Mokhotzi. Let's go to your WhatsApps now on 072-702-1702.
Hi, Clement. Zwelithini from Pretoria. No, this thing, I don't think that matter at Swane Metropolis, Bafitile Moyona. Otherwise, there's no way. I mean, not even a single one. That arrogant CFO and the other guy who are Metropolis who Salia authorized the other working the contract for the overtime and everything like that. I don't think Bafikile Moyon. And then the other thing is, as for this guy, Senzo Mchunu, I think Maban, which is yesterday, therein, I'm sure he's implicated. I'm not sure if you did follow yesterday. Yeah, but I'm not sure if Bafikile, those people, Baswani, 1 or 2 Swansibaswagabon, sharp.
Morning, Clement. Clement, Maumela, where does he fall in within the terms of reference of this commission? So far, nobody has implicated him in anything that relates to the terms of reference of the commission. So it is possible that he may never appear before the Madlanga Commission because none of what he is said to have done falls within the terms of reference of the commission, unlike our dear friend Kat Matala. Bophelo here from Benoni.
Yeah, I hear you, Bophelo, but remember, and I'll read a message here from Figo, not Figo, Kano, who is trying to help us understand the link to Hangwani here. But remember, there was monies that were paid by Karim, paid to Maumela or Maumela's sister. And remember, Karim may have benefited from the Medicare 24 tender. Remember those conversations between Brown Mokhotsi and Karim, what was revealed at the Matlanga Commission. So isn't that implicating Hangwani Maumela there? In fact, Kanu on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I think Hangwani's story is strongly tied to Karim's evidence. Hence, the commission is trying to pressure Karim to complete his evidence. That's my 2 cents. That's a message there from Kanu, and I agree with that. Hopefully, Karim comes, testifies, because he has to explain what monies was he paying to Hangwani Maumela, and what were those monies for. Because what the commission is suggesting is that there's a link here between the monies that Kat receives, monies that flow into Karim, and then suddenly make their way to Hangwani Maumela. It's 17 minutes now before 10.
Your voice,
your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
All right, so I want to bring your attention to another story that we haven't paid much attention to, but it's equally important. In fact, Figo on the WhatsApp line said, "Hi Clement, there's a case we're not paying attention to, the Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula case. The interior designer and contractors are paid in cash. One contractor was paid in cash for 1.7 million rand. So I thought we should bring our reporter, Khomotso Modise, our EWN reporter, who has been covering this case. And Khomotso, thank you so much for making time for us. So I remember the time when Mapisa Ngakula was arrested, and I was sent the WhatsApp conversations that she had with this person who is now a state witness, the woman who received tenders from the SANDF, and she alleges she was paying kickbacks to Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula. And it really was shocking how they were communicating. It wasn't making sense, but it seems it was a language that they had concocted. Can you help us understand how that has been interpreted in court? Because in the WhatsApp messages, there's no, I need that bribe, I need this. They speak in a coded language which the state is trying to prove was Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula trying to seek bribes.
Yeah, good morning, Clement. It depends on which side you are on to interpret whether this was coded language or not. Because according to Nombasa Nsondwandlovu, the Defense Force contractor, she says the language was coded. She says that they were using certain words linked to their ancestral calling, as they are both Izangoma or traditional healers. And so she claims that each item that she referred to, whether it was referring to Impepo, which is African sage, or incense, or if she was referring to Isnave, that was code for a certain amount of money. And she said they agreed on this once they had their first meeting at the Intercontinental Hotel in OR Tambo. Now, that's according to Nombasa Nsondwandlovu. But from what we've heard so far, the version that's been placed on record by the lawyer Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula is that there is no such. Everything in those WhatsApp messages means exactly what it purports to be or what it appears to be. So it seems when her time will come, when she will actually make her case and, come onto the stand possibly and testify, it seems her story is that every time they made reference to a certain item, Impepo meant Impepo. Isnave meant Isnave. So we've heard testimony from Nombasa Nsondwandlovu, really, who testified for almost an entire week, detailing about 12 instances where money was either solicited and paid. You remember that the allegation is that she solicited, this is Mapisa Ngakula, solicited 4.5 million rand in total. But ultimately, Nsondwandlovu says she paid 2.1 million rand, and this is in different installments over almost 3-year period. And so that is the allegation currently before the court.
Yeah.
And of course, the court will have to test whether, it is believable that what was going on here was a conversation about corrupt payments, or if it is indeed just a conversation between two traditional healers.
But surely the defense must also be able to explain why the Minister of Defense at the time had such a close relationship with someone who was receiving contracts from the SNDF. I mean, I would imagine if you guys, even if you are consulting with each other because both of you are traditional healers or whatever the case is, as a Minister of Defense, do you not want to declare that I've got this relationship with this woman who can even come to my house several times, and this is a woman who receives tenders from the SANDF?
Absolutely. I think really what you are asking there is at the heart of this case. The fact that the minister not only has this relationship, a close relationship with a contractor, but the contractor is so close that she would visit the minister's house regularly. She would go to the Broma house and, at some point, we've heard testimony from at least 3 people. This is her husband, her sister, and Nzondwa's daughter. All 3 of them purport to have gone with Nombasa Nzondwa Ndlovu to the home of the minister at certain points. And this is where she claims she made these payments. And I think that that's the explaining that the minister will have to do, especially because it's come out during this case that the relationship between the minister and Nzondwa Ndlovu only started around 2016, 2017. So this isn't a person who's had a lengthy relationship or a long relationship with Nombasa Nzondwa Ndlovu, and then she happened to start being a contractor. Around the time that she was scoring these contracts, she then started having this relationship with the minister. And I do think that this will come from the state's arguments at the end of the case, where they will really show that the minister had this relationship that was so close with Nombasa Nzondwa Ndlovu while she was scoring these tenders.
Yeah, sure. It's going to be really fascinating here to hear how this, how the defense explains that. Khomotso Modise, let me let you go back into court. Thank you so much for coming through. I thought I should bring her as someone who's covering this case, because some of you have been asking, hey, we need to pay close attention to what's happening in that matter, and we will do so. But yeah, 2 members of the defense contractor Nombasa Nzondwa Ndlovu's family have described accompanying her even to Mapisa Nqakula's home, on visits to Mapisa's home, where large amounts of cash were allegedly being delivered. We heard from Lilita Ndlovu, who is Nzondwa Ndlovu's daughter, and we also heard from Andiswa Nzondwa Joyi, who is her sister, and both testified about accompanying Nzondwa Ndlovu on separate occasions to Mapisa Nqakula's home. And Lilita testified that she accompanied her mother to the property, where they came in with 2 bags but left with 1 bag, and the bag that was left behind is believed to have contained 100,000 rand. Nzondwa Joy, the sister of the state witness, testified that her sister showed her 400,000 rand in a white A4 envelope that they were delivering because Mapisa Nqakula allegedly repeatedly requested the money. So what do you do if you are a sister or a daughter or a friend in a situation like that? When you are witnessing something that according to you is wrong, whether it's criminality, whether it's bribery, whether it's corruption, what do you do? Are you a type of person who speaks out, or do you say, it's their business, because I think if my brother was doing business with, let's say, the Defense Department, and I am accompanying him to the Defense Minister's house, and I know he receives contracts from the Defense Minister, and I see him delivering cash to the minister's house, I think I would ask, yo, is everything okay? What's going on? You know that is not okay, right? I would at least say that to my brother to make him aware in case he's not. What do you do? Have you been in situations like that? Like, do you stay silent, or do you feel a responsibility to speak out? Or maybe you're the type that says, I'm actually going to report it without even talking to the person who is involved here. But yeah, that case is just indicating to you how smart people are with how they do things. It's no longer, hey, I need the 200,000 rand. It's a matter of, hey, I need a wig. Oh, it could be, hey, Snave, when are you bringing it? But that's a code word for something else. So, again, to the point I was making earlier, if you think you're going to follow the money through bank statements only, I don't know if you'll actually be able to follow the money. It's non-existent. People are operating in cash now. So we need to be much smarter because the crooks have found better ways of stealing and doing unethical things without necessarily implicating themselves. Let's go back to your WhatsApps on 0727021702.
Good morning, Clement. This is Theo from A to Duza. Clement, look, I understand your concern about Hangwani Mawumela, but strategically, I understand the approach of the Madlanga as the commission. So, if you want to get as much information as you would like to, you need to start on the basis down there. At the level of Hangwani, you mostly likely you're not going to get a whole lot of information that you're looking for. Because there's no one above them. Remember, they are above the ones that they are being probed now. So if you're looking for the information, start right at the bottom and go up, in order for you to nab the ones that are on top. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Yeah, and I think you make a fair point there. And maybe that's a strategy the commission is taking. I guess I just don't understand how we could have someone that the SIU tells us is implicated in over R1 billion of corruption. Looting is actually the word they use at Tembisa Hospital. And we have someone whose links have been established with problematic characters that were working with Ket Matlala. Someone who has bought so many sports cars. Some are even the same but different colors. Like, you can tell when someone is using money that they didn't earn. You can tell. You just look at how they're spending it. I mean, so many of his vehicles and other assets have been attached. So I struggle to figure out how a person like that is not arrested still, or at the very least an advanced investigation. And maybe there is and we don't know about it. But I struggle to think why we are not going to see him at the commission, and I really hope that we will before it wraps up. And I hope Karim can be forced to come and finish his testimony, because maybe that's how we then get to establish the complicity of Hangwani Mawumela. But he needs to come, and maybe he'll come and exonerate himself at the commission, but he needs to come and testify. And I'm worried because, because of the rot in the SAPS, I don't really trust that we can have the police who will do a great job at investigating him. And maybe what we need now is these things to be exposed at the Madlanga Commission, because they've exposed so much, successfully so. So let's not place our reliance only on the SAPS, because it's troubled as it is. So we need these guys. Before they wrap up, they need to help us clean up as much as possible.
Clement, good morning. Paul in Randfontein normally, but phoning from somewhere in the World Village. The report is okay for now, but as you are bringing up names that you are surprised are not appearing on the interim report so far, there is another one. Remember the day that Ket Matlala's house was raided by the PKTT. There was a gentleman in a Mercedes-Benz coupe that handed over a cell phone, and apparently on the other side, it was the national commissioner or the provincial commissioner, but it was one of the commissioners. What happened to that person? Because we also needed to have him identified, which never happened. Brian Bushukha, the guy that vanished, the drug person. If I remember well, he was also picked up by a coupe Mercedes-Benz. We have never had anything. Nothing has developed in that direction. I think the commission needs to dig in that way as well. Lovely show as always.
Morning, Clement. I'm just happy that Mr. Sbia will face the music one day. I'm happy that it's on the list, actually. And then Khan, we're waiting for Khan. I just hope that he recover very soon to come and answer for all these allegations. And then I was so disappointed to hear Senzo Mchunu's names popping up again, with all of us thought he's innocent from all this. So I'm so happy that the final report is finally out, and then people will have to face the music. Sharp Clement.
And look, I'm trying not to be too emotional about Senzo Mchunu. That's why I made the statement that there hasn't been anything that links him to directly to criminality. Yes, he's linked to these all weird characters, and some people may have used his name, but nothing really links him to. You can't point to, there's the benefit that he received. There's not even been allegations that he got monies or was paid. So I get it, and I don't want to be emotional about it, right? But I'm saying that's not the only thing then that the commission looks at. It doesn't only look at, criminal charges. If the commission establishes that the minister failed in understanding his responsibilities as minister and limitations in as far as operations of the SAPS are concerned, then this is the action that should be taken. And we won't know that, even though it may be in the interim reports, because somehow the president decided these reports will be kept secret and maybe until the final report. I suspect it's the final report that will be made public. But we need to read that report so that we can hold the president accountable and say, but here are the commissioners. They said action needs to be taken against Senzo Mchunu. Why didn't you take it? Why did you wait until the final report? But with everybody else, you've said, these are the recommendations from the commission. We need to see that report and read it in its entirety.
You're up before everyone else. You're building something real. Absa Business Banking, powered by Visa, gives you everything you need to get going. Open a business account in 10 minutes. Buy a point-of-sale device for $7.99 and get a credit card all in one place. We get it. Running a business is hard. Your banking shouldn't be. Search Business Starter Pack. Your story matters. Absa is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Checkers brings you better freshness, better choice, and better value every day. On deals like Parmalat or Bonita salted butter 500 grams, any two for 139 Rand. And Dove bath soap, a 90-gram 4-pack for 64.99. Save 25 Rand. Plus, get up to 40% back in U-Count rewards with your qualifying Standard Bank card. Valid until 10 August. Only at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. IDAC's head of investigations and operations, Matthew Siseko, has taken the hot seat at the Madlanga Commission as the unit continues to be under scrutiny. IDAC's controversial investigation into crime intelligence has been in the spotlight recently, and several witnesses have already testified that the investigation into allegations that the Political Killings Task Team abused the Crime Intelligence Slush Fund was plagued by numerous irregularities. Siseko outlines IDAC's primary mandate.
So, Chair, the mandate of IDAC is to investigate complex corruption, commercial crimes, high-profile commercial crimes and financial crimes. And those investigations should be looked at within the context of other statutory offences and common law offences.
As the Matla Commission continues with its work, details of its second report reveal a recommendation for disciplinary action against 4 people who appeared before it, including suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia. Embattled Sergeant Fanny Nkosi, self-proclaimed political fixer Brown Mokgotsi, and a protected witness known only as Witness G have also been singled out in the Commission's latest report, which was handed to President Cyril Ramaphosa at the end of May. The Commission says criminal charges should be pursued if investigations uncover sufficient evidence against any of them. It's also recommended for an urgent probe into an alleged off-the-books crime intelligence operation in which Mokgotsi and Witness G were allegedly involved in. The presidency says the latest referrals will be investigated by the SAPS Special Investigations Task Team set up to urgently probe individuals identified by the Commission. Presidency Spokesperson Vincent Magwenya.
The report revisits the recommendation and referrals made in the first interim report in respect of the South African Police Service based on prima facie evidence, and with one exception, confirms these recommendations now that the relevant implicated parties have appeared before the Commission to give evidence. The report also sets out new recommendations and referrals made by the Commission on the basis of evidence heard since the start of 2026.
President Cyril Ramaphosa's lawyers are set to continue presenting arguments in the Western Cape High Court today in favour of the Expropriation Act. The President's legal team is responding to arguments opposing the act made earlier this week by the DA and Afrikaans lobby group AfriForum and other organisations. Lawyers for the Minister of Land Reform and Rural Development and the Speaker of the National Assembly will follow with their submissions before the matter is concluded. Carlo Peterson has more.
President Cyril Ramaphosa's lawyers are set to argue that a defect in the Expropriation Act can be fixed through a court-ordered reading in remedy rather than striking down broader sections of the law. Senior counsel for Ramaphosa, Advocate Ngwaku Mayaneche, yesterday told the court the Constitution already allows judges to determine what compensation is just and equitable, and in certain cases this could include nil compensation.
It may be just and equitable for nil compensation to be paid where land is expropriated in the public interest, that is for land reform basically, having regard to all relevant circumstances.
Ramaphosa maintains the Expropriation Act is key for land reform and the proposed remedy will enable the law while preserving its broader objectives. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Investigations are underway following the death of a nursing student whose body was found in her room at the Chrizani Baragwanath Nursing College in Soweto. The Gauteng Health Department says the 19-year-old was found on Monday evening after a friend requested a wellness check. Security officials accompanied the friend, entered the room and found the student dead. Department spokesperson Steve Mabona.
The department is currently prioritizing the well-being of students and the staff affected by these laws. Counseling and psycho-support services have been activated for students, lecturers, and staff at the college. Support is also being extended to the family during this difficult period.
And a drone carrying explosive devices has been found at a German airport. A robot was deployed to the Leipzig-Heli airport after the device was spotted by an employee near Ukrainian cargo planes overnight. Police say a second unidentified object also collided with a cargo aircraft near the same airport, but it landed in Hanover with minor damage. German airports are on high alert following several unauthorized drone flights in recent months over military bases, airports, energy terminals, seaports and logistics companies. Police have warned of a potential Russian involvement, which Moscow has denied. Gold is trading at $4,265.59 an ounce. The rand is at 16.33 to the dollar, 21.98 to the pound, 18.86 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.10 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 South. This is between Linksfield Road and the Gilulis interchange. An accident is reported there. There's also queuing traffic along the N12 and the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. IDAC's head of investigations and operations, Matthew Siseko, has taken the hot seat at the Matlanga Commission as the unit continues to be under scrutiny.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, good morning. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. And thank you for your contributions on the 702 open line. I want to take a few voice notes before we start with our hanging out feature. This is the voice notes we received as I was when we had Khomotso Modise, who spoke to us about this case against the former Speaker of Parliament, Nosivuyo Mapisa-Nqakula.
Hi, Clement. It's supremely fair. You know, they were benefiting at the time. They were benefiting. They wouldn't dare say anything. Supremely sharp.
Morning, Clement. This is Chimangazo. Clement, regarding Mapisa Nqakula's matter, could the husband, Mr. Charles Nqakula, who is a former Minister of Police, could he have not known about this cash that was coming into the house? And, you know, if they were paying contractors or service providers cash, he surely would have known, because this is the construction that was happening in his household. And what do we say about him?
And those are the questions that are still going to come, I suspect. But yeah, we'll continue keeping quite a close eye on this matter, because, yeah, wow, it's crazy, hey? It's 9 minutes after 10 o'clock.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk. Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So on our hanging out feature this morning, we have the award-winning artist Zama Jobe. And we're hanging out with really someone who is one of South Africa's most distinctive and soulful voices in music. And what's interesting is that she's emerged from a transformative decade-long hiatus with a career that began at the turn of the millennium and spent 3 albums in rapid succession. She's really become a powerhouse in the South African music. Appreciate her and look at what she has been able to produce in terms of her music. But this song, Ndawo Yami, was a big song. And I would argue that up to today, it's still quite a significant song in the music scenes. 20 years later, can you believe it?
Take me to the place where
the place, a place with fruit of life. This place in my dreams, this place is in my head all day. River, river runs wild. No way away. Take me to the place where the grass is green all year. To the place where the bees never sting. This place in my dreams, this place is in my head all day. Where the grass is green all year. Now I be, now I be, now I be, now I be, and now I be, and now I be, now I be, hey, to the place where there's no conformity, to the place, a place of liberty. This place in my dreams, this place is in my head all day, where there's no conformity. This place in my dream, this place is in my head all day, where there's no conformity. Now I be, now I be, now I be, and I be, and I be, and I be, now I be, yeah. Take me to the place where we talk with our eyes, to the place where even winter is warm, to the place where music is playing all day, to the place where we sit next to God. Now I be, now I be, now I be, now I
Oh man, what a song. And so many years later, it's still really one of the best songs. Zamajobe is in studio with us this morning on our Hanging Out feature. Zamajobe, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good, good, good. I mean, when you listen to that song, I mean, it feels like it was released just yesterday. It still hits so hard.
I am so lucky. I feel so lucky that
Yeah.
people still feel this way about the music.
Yeah.
It's really, yeah.
I mean,
feel
it's
lucky.
yeah, and I want you to take us back to the moment when you worked on this album. How many years is it? Is it 20 years now? How many years is it now?
I think it's 25.
25 years.
Yeah, oh, am I wrong? This was 2004. How many years is that?
That's over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So how was it though, like working on this album? Do you remember the space that you were in and what you wanted to create?
The space. No. I knew certain things, but I didn't know certain things as well. Like I was fresh from Idols, so I knew that and at that time everybody who was coming from Pop Idols was doing sort of like popish
Pop
sound,
songs,
whatever.
yeah.
So in Pop Idols I was Zama Sithole. So when you get voted out immediately, the next day you get like 20 offers, especially if you're in the top 10.
Yeah.
You get like 10 people calling you like, yo, we're watching you on the show.
Yeah.
Come talk to us.
Yeah.
But I naturally just went to Sony because of Dave. He was a judge at the show and he always had my back. So I naturally just went to him. And I think one of the conversations we had was I am young, but I want to be a Miriam Makeba, Dorothy, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, Brenda Fassie, whatever. I don't want to be in the pop world. I want to do African music, contemporary African or whatever, jazz, soul, African, whatever, Afro soul, Afro jazz, whatever. Yeah. But and I'm gonna go by Zama Jobe, and that's what we're gonna do. And then we tried different writers because they were throwing white writers at me, pop music and whatever. And I said, no, let's find. So we were trying to find different writers and whatever. And then eventually nothing was working. So eventually I was like, I think I can write music.
Yeah.
And then
Have you written
they were like,
before?
are you sure? I said, I don't know, but I think I can write, And there's this friend of mine who later became the producer.
Yeah.
And he used to give me guitar lessons at Kasi. Actually, I used to catch a taxi to town to get guitar lessons from him. So I remember how comfortable I used to be around him, because he would teach me a chord. It would take me a long time to learn it and whatever. And he was very, very patient. So I said, let me call him and then I can try my songwriting on him. If it doesn't work, he's got a gentle way of telling me this is not working. If it works, we can make something magical together. So Sony was like, okay, cool. We'll give you a studio downstairs and give you pizza for the whole week. We're not going to interrupt you. By Friday, we want to hear something.
That's so fascinating because often the stories you hear from people who have received offers after they left Idols is that it's almost like they want to box you into whatever their vision was.
Yeah.
So you don't have too much, creative control. But it sounds like they were listening to you.
Not really. I mean, at first they were throwing things at me. You know. But then eventually I said, no, I don't want to do this. Like I said, it was natural, to find all these sort of pop writers, and they were sending all kinds of writers. I was doing a lot of studio sessions going all around.
Yeah.
And I think you're right when you're saying, in a sense, they were listening to me, because if I'd come back after that experience and I've recorded a song and we listened to it in the boardroom or in the office, Dave would ask me how I feel.
Yeah.
You know? How do you feel about this? I'm like, no, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah. And a lot of Idol stars will tell you, my first album was not really me.
Yeah.
Because they will do the second album and they say, this is really me. The first one was more for their record label and their vision.
Yes.
So that's it's so good that they allowed you that, because otherwise this album wouldn't have been birthed. So thank goodness. But do you come from a musical family? When did you realize I actually can do this thing for a living? I can sing and I've got some soul. I can move people, because that's what you do through your music.
Your questions make me tell you a whole 5 paragraphs, but anyway, because I like to give context,
We love context on this show.
So, no, I don't come from a musical family. Not really. My dad was a musical collector. He really, really loved music. He loved jazz and he collected music. And my mom sang, she was an alto, a beautiful alto, whatever.
Yeah.
But where I got music the most was at church. My pastor at that time was a recording artist as well, Pastor Benjamin Dube. So I grew up in his church. So I think I always say that was music college for me,
Mm.
you know. So I was in his choir since I was 9 up until I entered Idols.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then music was never something that was a conscious decision that I want to do. Like, people entered the competition for me without telling me.
What?
Yeah. Right? I told you, ask me questions where I have to give you paragraphs. I have to give you context. So there's this friend of mine in high school was trying a bit of modeling or whatever. So we were trying to enter for like Miss Teen Essay or something. Yeah. And she was like, Chomi, ask me so enter so audition. And then I'm like, bet, let's go, you know. And then I get voted out the first round, you know. So she's this beautiful chocolate long thing, you know. So she made a few rounds further than me, but she also eventually, no. So she eventually got voted out as well. Yeah. And then on Monday at school, she puts a letter and an entry form for Idols. And she's saying, I don't think modeling is for you. Like, she made it, right? But she's telling me, I don't think modeling is for you. I think this is your thing. Because I used to sing around school all the time, talent shows and whatnot. This is for you. She wrote a whole thing. And then she had an entry form, my Idols. I get home, I throw it at my mom. I'm like, can you believe this girl? Like me, Nama Pop Idols. Because my dad listened to jazz so much. I was really much influenced by that and church and gospel. So I was like, Pop, me, what? You know, can you believe this girl? So my mom was like, no, actually. And I said, no. She went behind my back. She entered the competition. And the rest is history.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's so fascinating. But you see, God works in mysterious ways, eh?
Yeah.
If you are called for this thing, it will find you in one way or the other. Right. Okay, so part of the way of getting to know you better is to get to know you through music as well.
Yes.
And I have to tell you, I was really excited to see some of the artists that you, because I'm always desperate to find out new artists.
I
don't like listening to the same music. I mean, I've got favorite artists. I really love your music.
Yeah.
But I also want to know like who's new in the game, and I want to listen to that. So, who's Boloja from zero to hero? Who's that?
Well, come through this tomorrow and you'll see him live. Yeah. I'll be working with him. Yeah. So, he's a brilliant musician.
Well, I can't wait to hear his song because that's one of your faves, and maybe that's going to help us even anticipate the performance.
Yeah.
Much more.
Ungitsatsa lapha angibeke lapha ungisusa lapha angibekeleni ungitsatsa lapha angibeke lapha ungisusa lapha angibekeleni ungitsatsa lapha angibeke lapha ungisusa lapha angibekeleni ungitsatsa lapha angibeke lapha ungisusa lapha angibeka lena from zero to hero. From hero ship to glory, from zero to hero, from hero ship to glory, to glory, to glory, to glory. noma bangakubukela phasi noma bakhombe ngemini noma bathi sitake simbone yakubheka lena noma bangakubukela phasi noma bakhomba ngemini noma bathi sitake simbone yakubheka lena yena utakuthatha lapha akubheke lapha.
Good morning, Clement and the team. It's Adile in Breaking Downs. I can't wait for the next interview with Zama Jobe. I've got a few questions with Zama Jobe that, you know the track he did with Eric Pilane, who is a producer of that song, Noctula. That is a killer track to me. Each time I'm at my radio station, which I won't mention, I make sure I play that song. And is there any more collaboration coming up between you, Zama, and Lee Rutina? Because that Smokes and Mirrors album by Lee Rutina, to me, it's magic. You just put something nice on that album. Just know, when are you opening that eatery again in Fosloras? Because I came there, it was closed, and I was disappointed. Andy Lane, Breaking Downs.
Thank you so much, Adile. Collaboration? What's more to come?
Collaboration is with Eric. Or just any collaboration, or with Lee, because he
maybe give us them or others that are coming.
Okay, or any collaborations. I don't know. Like I've been talking to some people, but you would be surprised. It's not what you would think, though. So that's yeah. It's not. It's not
exciting.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. And I'm trying to push for it to happen. So that's why I don't want to say anything because now I'm giving away. I mean, she's a DJ and she surprisingly called me yesterday.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, girl.
Let's see what we can cook.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm open to it. Like I said, it's a completely different vibe, but hey, music
let's
is
see.
music.
But I'm excited that it's something different
Yeah,
that we are
yeah.
not thinking about.
Yeah.
I love being surprised.
Morning, Clem. Tato here. I just want to quickly send a massive shout to Miss Foslo. I think it was 24 years ago, Miss Foslo, and I was the headliner for the after party at Miss Foslo. Zama won Miss Foslo. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, she is the reigning Miss Foslo because there was never another Miss Foslo, if I'm not mistaken. So it's just quite something to behold. That a year or two later, she was all over our TV singing like an angel, and then she became the darling of the country. So shout out to her for the journey she's traveled and the fact that she's still the reigning Miss Foslo.
I was Lily no Miss Foslo lao, Australia.
Oh my God.
A whole Miss Foslo.
I
Do you
wonder
remember
who,
that time?
who this Mr. is? Yes.
Utato.
Utato.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. Okay.
Utato. Could you not tell that voice?
No.
That's DJ Fresh.
Oh shit!
We can't say that on the radio. We
Was that
apologize.
DJ?
Okay. We apologize for that.
I'm so
but
sorry.
Yeah, you didn't really pick up the voice?
No, I didn't hear.
That is DJ
It's
Fresh.
it's the headphones. I
Okay.
should have heard him in the front.
La
of my
Paya,
house.
yeah, we will do that.
Yeah.
Well, that's DJ Fresh, and that's why he says I was the headliner.
Oh,
there.
he was
Yeah.
DJ.
Yeah.
Yes, there was so many people on the lineup. There was Bongo like I had pictures
Yeah.
with all of them, and it's funny how they became like my friends 3 years later. Like you said, yeah,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, it's 10:31. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. It's Fiso High.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. IDAC's head of investigations and operations, Matthew Siseko, has taken the hot seat at the Matlanga Commission as the unit continues to be under scrutiny. The organization established to fight rampant corruption has been in the spotlight recently for controversial investigations into crime intelligence. Several witnesses have already testified that the investigation into allegations that the Political Killings Task Team abused the crime intelligence fund was plagued by numerous irregularities. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia has convened a high-level meeting following a deadly winter initiation season across the country. At least 43 initiates have died since May, with Mpumalanga recording the highest number of deaths, followed by the Eastern Cape. And the statistics released last month show that more than 100 criminal cases have been opened, resulting in at least 40 arrests and the closure of dozens of illegal initiation schools. And the International Relations Department says South Africa cannot be scapegoated for Africa's immigration crisis. The department welcomed the decision by the African Union Council to reject Ghana's proposal to add the agenda in what it labels as South Africa's xenophobia. Speaking at a media briefing in Pretoria yesterday, International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola said that the AU must instead call for a continent-wide summit on immigration. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, we've got delays in El Dorado Park on the N12 West. Unfortunately, that accident is still causing these delays. This is between Klipspruit Valley Road and the Abubakar Aswad Drive, so please be on the lookout there. While traveling on the Golden Highway, we've got delays between Union Avenue and East Street. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange, as well as on the R24 and the N12 West between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. If you want to avoid this backlog, please use the N17 West into areas like Elan as well as Germiston. More updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Big ideas need a bigger screen, one that locks in when you do. The new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra brings together Galaxy AI, powerful multitasking and all-day performance so you can work smarter, create faster, and stay one step ahead. That's power maxing. Pre-order the Galaxy Z Fold 8 Ultra and get up to 1,500 Rand worth of accessories. Offer available at participating stores until 12 August. T's and C's apply.
Don't worry, bro. That noise just means the engine is purring, like a lion.
That's not a purr, man. Your clutch is slipping. Pull into Goldwagen right now.
Goldwagen? For Nissan?
Yes. They supply precision-engineered Schaeffler clutches, wheel bearings and timing kits for Ford, Hyundai, Nissan and more.
Wow. What about Toyotas and Suzukis?
Goldwagen has quality vehicle parts for every brand.
Okay, I'm going.
Goldwagen. Keep on driving.
At Specsavers, we're committed to offering affordable and professional eye care. That's why we're offering 1,500 Rand worth of savings with our winter promotion. Get a free frame up to the value of 1,500 Rand or use the 1,500 Rand on one of our leading vision enhancements, like Climate Eyes, which automatically adapts to changing light. To qualify, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination and prescription frame and lenses. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Everyone has their first, that life-changing moment when the music spoke to your soul and you both listened. With global icons Kamasi Washington, Angelique Kidjo, Themba Mkhize and Africa Mkhize, Ibrahim Malouf, Flowetry, Manana, Internet Ati, and over 40 world-class acts. This is Jazz Reignited, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz, 25th and 26th September. Buy your weekend pass now via Ticketmaster.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
All right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. We've got Zamajobe in studio with us this morning. Someone sent a voice note earlier about the Chisanyama, the eatery that they went to. It was closed. Just to clarify, it's still operating, right?
Yes. Very much. It's still operating. We just got our liquor license. So
perfect.
we're hoping that things are going to start picking up and being even better. Because we were just struggling with that for a year. But
And
anyway.
you called it Indawayami.
Yes, I called it
That's so
Indawayami.
dope.
Yes.
That is so dope. Yeah, what a fitting name.
Yeah.
Let's go to some more WhatsApp voice notes on 072 702 and 702.
Take me to a place where the grass is green, oh yeah. Yo, Clement, that is my fave. Oh, Zamajobeva too. You took us from one place to the other. I'm so glad. Thank you, Clement. Yo, Matabu, komuhlakeng.
Wow, that's so cool, Matabo. On the WhatsApp line, someone says, "Hey Clement, thanks for bringing Zamajobe onto the radio. The year is 2005. I just moved to Pietermaritzburg from Kwakwa, and I heard Naoyami album from a flatmate. Wow. Thank you so much for the great music, CC." That's a message from Tando. And then another one says, "Hi Clement, Naoyami took Sweet Soul and wrapped it in a bundle that turned the country onto her funky style and sweet youthful naivety. Clement, I was privileged to watch her perform it before it was even a huge song at, is it Jack Buddha 8480, whatever that place is. But what a beautiful musician she is." That's a message from KG. And then listen to this one. Someone says here, "Hi Clement, that was my wedding song in 2006.
Oh my God.
I have been single for a while now, and I'm getting married again next month." So he may play that song again at the wedding.
Yeah.
Tell me about the break. How long did you take a break from music? Was it 10 years?
Yeah. Worst mistake of my life. But anyway, you learn, you live.
Why do you think it was a worst mistake?
This industry is not an industry for you to take a break. You must not disappear. You need to always be
That's
on.
unfair though,
It
because
is
there are
so
times when,
unfair.
as an artist, you do need to breathe.
Yeah.
And I don't want to compare us to like artists, whether in Europe or in the Americas,
Yeah.
but they do. Like Adele will give us an album this year and then take a break for 8 years or 5 years and then come back with another album. And
Yeah.
we don't have that culture here.
No, we don't. I mean, Sade releases once every 100
Right?
years. But if she had to go on tour now, like everybody would
Everybody
lose
will be
their,
there.
Yeah, they would lose their ish. So
Were you intentional about the break though in the beginning? What was behind the reason to take a break? If you can talk about it.
I got dumped and I was heartbroken.
Well, that's fair. That's
You're laughing,
understandable.
Mara.
Oh, shame.
Thank
Okay.
you. How?
Okay, that's okay. Shame. Let me change my response.
Heartbroken. I was
Okay.
like, I couldn't breathe.
Was it that tough?
It was, yeah. No, I think it was just a whole series of other things as
Yeah.
well. Just explaining my journey where I entered the competition, and then immediately the next day I got voted out. I was signing a deal, and then I was in the studio, and then I was dropping music, and when the music dropped, it picked up immediately. It took about 2-3 months, but it started picking up within very, very quickly.
And then
It
the
started-
awards came.
and then
Boom,
this was
boom.
happening, and this was happening, and this was happening, and this was happening, and I felt like I'm about to go crash into a wall, honestly. Because psychologically for me, somebody who's premeditated being in the game, it's like you try, you do demos, you try and whatever. Once you get your big break, you've been waiting for this and
Yeah.
anticipating it. I did not. I was not even thinking about it. It was just happening and happening and happening. And I felt like I haven't had time to like really process everything. I felt like
Yeah.
I'm just going to crash into a wall. So
Sure.
I wanted to slow down and then kind of rethink everything, process everything,
Yeah.
and then come back intentionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was initially, did you think, maybe it'll be the first 3 years or 4, and
Yeah,
then it turned into something
it turned
else?
into like 10 years because, I just kept like waiting for a certain feeling. There's a certain feeling that I kept waiting for that would tell me, okay, now is the right time. And I think that feeling never came. And it's just me deciding, like, what does Nike say? Just do it.
Just do it. And
I was just like, let me just do this,
Let me
man.
that's
Yeah.
interesting because I love always like getting a window into like the artist's thinking because I mean I really am fascinated by creatives just
Yeah.
generally, and I know that there are artists who create because there's a need to create. I'm an artist, but there are also artists who create and write songs or write music when they've got something to say.
Yeah.
So what kind are you? Because you're saying I was waiting for the right feeling, and for me
Yeah.
that sounds like you really wanted to perform and write, or if you write from a place of
Yeah.
there's a need to say something, and
Yeah.
I can be in that zone.
Yeah.
Is it that important for you in your artistry to be in the right framework of mind?
I would say yes and no, you know, in a sense that sometimes when you just do it, things will start coming. You know what I mean? When you like, I think I should try and do something right now. I should try and maybe put an album together, or I should try and do whatever. I think then things will come to you. Like you won't even realize, oh, I was feeling these feelings, you know, especially with creativity, because that's how you get them out. You know, once you hear the music and you want to write on some lyrics, or you want to write the story, and then you think, right now I'm like, I don't think I have a story, but I feel like if I had to jam with somebody and then I had to put together something, a piece of music, I think things will come out. I think there's a lot of things that are happening internally that I'm not aware of.
Yeah.
So, so it's just, it's definitely important to like have a story and have a concept as to, I think maybe sometimes that's what can take a bit of time is like having the concept of, this is what I'm trying to do with this music. The intention behind it. This is what I'm trying to do with this music. This is a concept with this music and all of that. Yeah.
How did you deal with fame though? Because what you're describing is that things happened too quickly for you.
Yeah.
And you had not rationalized, like you had not thought of becoming that big like that.
Yeah.
So how did you then deal with like fame and the constant bookings? Because everybody just wanted you to come perform.
Yeah. No, look, I like to sing. I don't know why, because sometimes it's scary as hell. Even after 20 years, you just like, before you go on stage, you're like, I'm scared right now. And you're like, I've been doing this for 20 years. Why am I scared? But I really do enjoy it.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy sometimes how it heals me. Like the intention is to really just be giving to your audience or whatever. Sometimes it's like you just had like a bad day and you're healing yourself. And then maybe that energy transfers to the audience. So whatever the reasons, I really love music. So for me, I'm an artist and I'm a musician more than anything.
More than anything.
More than anything.
Okay, speaking of musicians, tell me about Andile Yenana.
Yay!
Because Oasis is one of your favorite songs as well. Why is it?
Wow. I want to be technical. No, but I just love it. Like, it's such a beautiful pattern. It's kind of like he's repeating a pattern, but it's so beautiful. You know, so I think it's such a clever way of like composing, especially on the piano. You hear what I mean?
I get what you mean.
Yeah, so I love the song, you know. I really, really love the song. Like, people were telling me to choose Tembisa because that's like his popular song.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I like Oasis.
Oasis.
This is the one I want to pick, yeah.
Well, here we go. Oh my goodness. Exquisite.
Yes, isn't it?
Okay, I've just edited this album, and I know some of the listeners are probably wondering, okay, from which album? The album is titled We Used to Dance, Andile Yenana. It was released in 2002, so check it out on iTunes. Wow, that's a beautiful, beautiful number there. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Yo, Clementi. Bathong, Zamachobe waka. Yo, there's this album. Okay, the Ndawayame album literally carried me through varsity, me and my best friend. Yo, I remember how I felt when I first saw you. How I know right. There is one unforgettable night. The memories just seem like it's yesterday. Oh, Samacho, baby, Gutanda.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Clemi, good morning to you and to your guest, Zamajobe. I remember when she broke into the music scene. Robert Marawa was still at Metro FM doing the 6 to 7 sports hour. And Robert introduced this artist, Zamajobe, and played her music. It was fresh, it was beautiful, it was everything amazing. And throughout all those years, easily 15 years, even 20, could be wrong, I still haven't heard any song that comes close to Hey, Hey. It's so unique. The only disappointment is that Zamajobe hasn't released anything as big as that. I hope your music identity hasn't changed much. I haven't heard any of your new material. But yes, I will be digging for it now that you're on radio. Obviously, there is something fresh coming from you. Lovely show as always, Clement.
Well, check out on iTunes, on Spotify, because you released Umi when?
Yes.
This is in 2024, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you've had 2 more albums after, how many after Ndawayame?
I had 2 albums.
You had 2
yes.
albums, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so check out the music. It's there, trust me, and it's equally amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yes, please check it out.
Clemzito, hey, you've got a great musician, Lapo. Yo, Zamajobe. Wow, what a lovely voice. Hey, Ilentolena, there's such great music that she's brought us. Abu Taxi Ride, Stormy Weather, Hey, and one of my favorites, Magic. Yeah, please do play it if possible. Look at you up. Thanks.
Okay, we'll check on the system. Yeah, a lot of people are asking for the song. Mpo on WhatsApp line says, Clement, thank you for hosting Zamajobe on your show. Her music carried me through tough times as a working mom. So I always played her music in the house and in the car. And my kids and I, we would sing together. The first song you played carried me when my little girl was hospitalized after having a seizure while asleep and was discovered by her brother. The race to ER was a scene for sore eyes, and recovering that followed. That song carried me. The next song was Tula Mtanami. Yo,
Yes.
I used the song to soften my guilt each time I had to travel out of town for work. My mom was the present parent while I was globe trotting. I love her music and I wish her all the best. That's a message from Mpo in Senton.
Oh, love you, Mpo.
Oh, that's
because-
beautiful.
Yeah, because I write about my own stories, hoping that I'm people out there that are going through similar things can find comfort. So I'm happy to hear that so much.
How
Shares
beautiful is music? That
It
someone
is-
is able to feel comforted.
Yeah.
To feel like they can relate.
Yeah.
And I mean, through music, and they don't know who you are. They don't even
No.
know your story.
No, and it's that's why it's like very important to like really write about experiences and because you don't know who's listening to the lyrics, because at first we listen to the music and then when we're going through stuff we really listen to the lyrics and then you're like, oh my god, actually this person has been saying this all along, and now I can relate to it, So I'm happy when people are really interpreting what I'm saying, especially with my latest albums, whereas the first two ones, I was just kind of like an abstract painter where I would write just openly and let you interpret it the way you want to. But the last two albums, because of growing and experiencing life, because with Ndayama, I hadn't really experienced life. So I would just write about like a place in my head, that I like to dream about. But with my latest albums, especially the one she's talking about, Tulamtwana, that was like talking about a real life experience where I had to go work and I had to leave my kids, and that mom guilt is a serious one. It's a very serious one. So that's why I'm saying it makes me happy to hear from Umpo. Thank you for that. That she was finding comfort in the music just the way that I was writing to also comfort myself.
Oh, I love that. I really like that.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 5 minutes before 11 o'clock. After the break, we'll wrap up our conversation with Zama Jobe.
Do you ever call you like to sell, but don't trust your uncle or your pal? Then we buy cars, it's just for you. Buying cars is what we do. We offer service with a smile. We always go the extra mile. Use a place that you trust and sell your car to us.
We Buy Cars, the easiest way to sell your car by far.
So the other day I get this call from an insurance company. They asked me if I knew what their third-party policy entails. I said, third party? Whoa, big dog. I haven't even been invited to the first one yet. And they just put down the phone. I don't get it.
Don't get that insurance. Get Pineapple. It's easy to get and online. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. T's and C's apply.
All right, so this Women's Month, here's to the women who keep families connected. The homework, the side hustle, the family group chat, all of it runs through her. She deserves better than a hotspot. So, Not 99 brings real fiber into the Kasi, uncapped from 379 Rand, Mahala installation, no contract, one connection for the whole family. Just top up and go like airtime. Real Kasi Wi-Fi. Check your coverage at not99.co.za. WhatsApp on 0872450099.
Hanging out with Clement
on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
3 minutes now before 11 o'clock, we're wrapping up our chat with Zama Jobe, whom we've been getting to know better on our Hanging Out feature this morning. And a lot of people want to know where they can see you perform. They miss seeing you on stage, and you're performing this weekend?
Yes,
Tell
tomorrow.
us about that. Tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. So Kolisi MXO, I think whose song you're going to play next. He's started this concept called Different Folks, where he's putting up just sessions all across the country and just putting musicians together to collaborate on stage. And, so tomorrow we're doing that concept at Weed Lovers in 4 Ways.
Okay.
So artists like Boloja and Andile Nana that you've been playing, they're going to be there tomorrow. Myself, Kolisi. So come through. I'm going to be doing that. So I think it's going to be pretty dope. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Andile Nana as well, know. So yeah.
That's going to be dope. Okay,
Yeah.
let's wrap up then with Mko,
Yeah.
to give you a taste of what you can expect.
Can you mean, hey, the morning, carbon every time, hey, being a song when you go on, Johnny, got and you don't be in swag, I'll see, hey, yeah, you got, can you go, see, hey, gonna, yeah, you need to cool, hey, girl, Tell me where you from, I wanna know your name, I wanna get with you, baby. Zandi bone fana nawe, hentle, jengawe, indobete mnyamazana, dombe mnyamazana. Zandi bone fana nawe, hentle, jengawe, indobete mnyamazana. Derum 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 dere, tap tap derum dere.
Oh man, this is what you can expect over the weekend at this incredible show. Different folks. Zamajobe, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for
It was
having
really lovely
me.
to get to know you better, also through some of your favorite songs. And thank you for the music that you've created for us. That is so comforting and that means a lot to us. And we wish you all the best.
Thank you for the love. It means a lot to me too, you know.
Thank you. It's 11 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. IDAC's head of investigations and operations, Matthew Siseko, is the latest witness at the Madlanga Commission to continue speaking about the entity as it is under scrutiny. The organization established to fight rampant corruption has been in the spotlight recently for controversial investigations into crime intelligence. Several witnesses have already testified that the investigation into allegations that the political killings task team abused the crime intelligence fund was plagued by numerous irregularities. Acting Police Minister Firoz Kachalia has convened a high-level meeting following a deadly winter initiation season across the country. At least 43 initiates have died since May, with Mpumalanga recording the highest number of deaths, followed by the Eastern Cape. Statistics released last month showed that more than 100 criminal cases have been opened, resulting in at least 40 arrests and the closure of dozens of illegal initiation schools. The Police's Ministry, Kamokhelo Mokgotsi, says the aim of this week's presentation is to share what SAPS is doing to hold those responsible for these crimes to account.
One of the challenges would be the secrecy of these illegal initiation schools. Yes, there are those that are registered, but you then from time to time get those individuals who take a chance, and in some instances you have kidnappings that take place. Kids are kidnapped and they are taken to these illegal initiation schools.
Mokgotsi says in some cases, police have received tip-offs from community members.
There have been instances where community members go to police stations and report to say, we suspect activity at this place, and investigations are carried out. And that's, in essence, by large, how the SAPS has been able to crack down on these illegal initiation schools.
Trade Union Federation COSATU says the livelihoods of nearly 6,000 workers are at risk due to the proposed closure of Premier Foods plant in Tulbagh. The company has confirmed it has entered retrenchment consultations with affected workers, saying the fruit products Western Cape plant is no longer economically sustainable. COSATU says it will oppose the decision, warning that it may be forced to organize mass protests and seek an urgent court interdict. Camry Clark reports.
In a statement, COSATU says the proposed closure of Premier Foods Fruit Products Western Cape plant in Tulbagh threatens the livelihoods of about 5,700 workers and producers. It also claims that Premier Foods has indicated that it will not honour existing 3-year supply contracts with producers, which in turn leaves them stranded with fruit for the upcoming season. COSATU has also condemned reports that CEO Kobus Hartenbach is set to receive a 17.4 million rand bonus. The Union Federation's Malvin de Bruin.
It's an absolute disgrace that Premier Foods can reward its CEO with a 17.4 million rand bonus while simultaneously throwing thousands of workers and their families on the street.
Premier Foods has not commented on the reports of the alleged bonus, but says it remains hopeful of a positive outcome for the broader value chain despite the industry's ongoing challenges. Camry Clark, Eyewitness News.
The International Relations Department says South Africa cannot be scapegoated for the continent's immigration crisis. The department welcomed the decision by the African Union Council to reject Ghana's proposal to end the agenda of what it's labelled South Africa's xenophobia. Speaking at a media briefing in Pretoria yesterday, International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola said the AU must instead call for a continent-wide summit on immigration.
There is no discussion that will be helpful that will just focus on South Africa, because we are not the only country facing a migration challenge. 45% of the African continent lives outside their countries, and not out of choice, but out of necessity, to eke a living or for whatever reason. So these issues must be discussed and be properly dissected.
Gold's trading at $4,265.59 an ounce. The rand is at 16.33 to the dollar, 21.98 to the pound, 18.86 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $79.10 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N12 and the R24 West. This is just as you approach the Kilulis interchange coming out of Edenville Road. That's due to roadworks. And then traveling in Parktown, we've got an accident. It happened on Empire Road right as you exit from the M1, and it's causing delays. Please approach with care.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. IDAC's head of investigations and operations, Matthew Sissoko, has taken the hot seat at the Matlanga Commission as the unit continues to be under scrutiny.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, Sanbonani. Good morning. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. It's time for our Thursday dialogue.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's Walk the Talk on 702.
On our Thursday dialogue this morning, I want us to focus on the NSFAS stabilization plan. Can it get NSFAS out of its troubles? We've seen different administrators arrive with different turnaround plans, and yet we still have an NSFAS that is where it is now. So how different is this one? The administrator of NSFAS, Professor Hlengani Mathebula, has submitted this plan to restore stability to this embattled scheme. This was submitted to the Higher Education Minister, Buti Manamela, earlier this week in accordance with requirements of the Government Gazette. And what the plan does is detail various interventions to restore governance to the scheme. And you know, the scheme has really faced a number of challenges, persistent, systematic failures for years, characterized by severe governance, operational, financial mismanagement, you name it. And the reason that NSFAS has been placed under administration a few times now is because these things have not been resolved. So earlier this year, it was placed under administration for the third time since 2018. And we're going to find out now from Professor Mathebula what this intervention plan or stabilization plan entails. And then afterwards, I'm going to bring other stakeholders to share with us if they've read the plan, if they think that is what's sufficient to really get NSFAS out of its troubles. But I want to hear from you as well, because a lot of you have been funded by NSFAS. Some of you have had your children funded by NSFAS, or maybe not, but you still have some thoughts about what could be done differently to try and make the scheme more effective. You can give us a call on 011 883 0702 or WhatsApp on 072 702 1702. So let's start this conversation with Professor Hlangani Mathebula, who's the administrator at NSFAS. Professor Mathebula, thank you so much for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and how are you and the people of 72 Land?
Oh, we're good.
I missed you in Durban this year. I hope you will line up for the 100th edition.
I'm definitely lining up, and I'm a bit nervous about what's happening between Comrades Marathon Association and Athletics South Africa, but I hope it's not going to interrupt this big year for us as Comrades runners next year, and I hope to see you on the road.
All of us as runners are really a bit anxious about that, but hopefully the leadership will resolve that issue.
Yeah, I really hope so too. So let's get into it. Prof, you are the third administrator at NSFAS. Is the scheme seemingly trapped in a permanent cycle of crisis management from what you have observed? What were your preliminary findings here?
Look, I mean, what we have found, Clement, is an entity that it's really in a state that none of us could ever be proud about. And what we have done is really to get down to work and identify the real issues that needs to be attended to, and produced this very detailed evidence-based report in a period of 3 months. And I do emphasize, like I did with the minister, that the real work starts now, because I don't want us to be trapped in a state of a analysis paralysis, but we do need to rescue this institution in a way that, and my hope and the hope of the minister is that in the next coming 10 years, there shouldn't be a need for another administration. The very fact that we have a third administration is really quite telling. And maybe it's because what the other administration intended to do was to deal with a crisis of a particular nature, come in, address that, and then leave. But what we are now charged with is really to absolutely have a surgery kind of a scenario where we must go deep, we must find what ails the organization, but ultimately we must recommend a student funding model going into the future. Does that funding model replicate what NSFAS does today, or it becomes a very different entity? Let me just take you just one example, Clement and your listeners. So NSFAS, when it was founded, it was a very small organization that dealt with just less than R1 billion that it managed for loans and bursaries combined and all that, right? Somewhere in 2017, that dramatically changed, right? And it moved from less than R1 billion entity to over 50 billion entity that it must then distribute, manage of a bursary scheme specifically, whilst it retains a little bit of an element of loans in a sense. But in the main, we are a bursary scheme as it is. Now, I don't think that as NSFAS was geared both in act, in the manner it was structured, in the manner the public then engaged with it, and the various stakeholders. And all these factors combined really became overwhelming to both the entity itself and its own stakeholders. Now, we are coming in an institution that has been perpetually be in a crisis, And when we come in, it then looks like the crisis doesn't stop. It needs to continue. But I'm encouraged that since the Tuesday when we presented this report, a number of stakeholders have engaged with it, and they appreciate the detail that we have been able to put in this report or in this plan, and they're starting to reflect on the report quite positively, but with cautious optimistic on whether can we pull off that which we are promising. And my sense is that we can, if all of us pull together in the same direction.
Okay, let's look at the details of this turnaround plan. And I understand the cautious optimism coming from the other stakeholders because, as I've said, we've seen different administrators arrive with different turnaround plans. So what makes these interventions then the ones, and what makes them the ones that will produce lasting reform? Can you give us examples of this stabilization plan that's been submitted to the minister? What are the first tangible changes students can expect to see over the next 3 to, let's say, 6 months?
Okay, so the first thing that students can look at is it's an agile entity that is able to at least prioritize the students. So from a perspective of where students' accommodation, living allowances, the books, that which it affects students directly, it's something that we have made a conscious decision that we shouldn't tinker with that. We should ensure that we continuously do that at the time that it needs to be done. So we are paying on time. We are making sure that the students actually receive that which they need to receive on time. Of course, Clement, then to be able to do that, because we do not have the resources that are requisite to be able to meet the demand that NSFAS is challenged with, it means that there is a conversation that is being had with the institutions themselves, because in certain instances we're having to hold back tuition from the institutions, but ensuring that the students do continue to be where they have to be, that their academic activities are not compromised. Yes, the institutions are going to make a compelling argument that if you take a Walter University, if you take University of Limpopo, and if you take the Tshwane University of Technology, you will see that they have a varied degree of students that are funded by NSFAS. We start from about 70% to 100%. So if you take those three universities, clearly the amount of money that you will hold back in tuition from that institution will vary from that which you will hold back from your VETS, your UCT, your Cape Town, your University of Pretoria, given the difference of the mix of students that those universities will then be able to have. But critically, what students can look forward to during this administration, whilst we're dealing with the fundamental issues of imaging the organization, reconstituting the organization, is that their life shouldn't be affected negatively, so to say, right? That whatever challenges that they have, the entity should, in an agile manner, be able to respond to that much more quickly than we probably have done in the past. So you will have seen. Just yesterday, I made a decision to say, look, there's about 26,000 students at UNISA that were waiting for registration, new registration at UNISA and second semester. I immediately said, well, let those students be admitted because they qualify in terms of the policy of government, number one. Number two, they qualify in terms of the criteria that NSFAS look at in terms of eligibility. And then you had about 72,000 or so that were on top-ups in the University of Technology. So we're talking about 7 universities in total that we have had to, in conjunction with those universities, because the role here of NSFAS shouldn't be divorced from the role that the universities themselves need to be able to play, which is that they need to supply us with credible data within which we can then be able to assess and allow them to register the students. So that is just one example to indicate how agile, how quick, how we want to make sure that students must, at the very minimal, feel that there is an administration. They must really focus on their studies. They must focus on that which makes them to be students, whilst we fix the institution for the long term.
And many of them, I mean, they can't even focus on their studies because they're still experiencing so many challenges, whether it's delayed allowances, the appeals, registration issues, etc. And one of the biggest complaints that even now on the WhatsApp line, I'm getting the most questions that listeners are saying I must ask is around student accommodation. That's been identified as a high-risk area. What are the biggest problems that you've uncovered, and what solutions are you putting up in place?
Yeah, so Clement, the student accommodation area is a very painful story to tell in many instances, and we have to be responsible in how we manage that specific area. And I have actually highlighted it in the report to say we do need to prioritize that for very simple reasons. The students that are funded by NSFAS are students that come from very disadvantaged families that their parents wouldn't be able to afford them going into university or even putting them into private accommodation. So what then happens with that is that you then find that there are accommodations that are accredited by NSFAS and universities. And then there are those that are not accredited. So maybe the accredited accommodation is not sufficient in a particular place, like if you look at Velcom for CU2, CUT University there, and any others. But what then differentiates this administration is that we have at least gone on the ground. So you take CUT. We went there, and I specifically took a decision to say, yes, there is unaccredited accommodation here, but it is accommodation where students are. I'm not going to allow a scenario where students are checked out. Therefore, I'm going to give a dispensation that those students must be kept in those accommodation on condition that the accommodation does have transport to transport a student in instances where they are more than 5 kilometers away from a university or a library, because you don't want to put these students in places of harm. The accommodation must have sufficient security. The accommodation must be able to ensure that the students are safe to the extent that they are not threatened by external forces external to the university and all that. Now, part of and parcel of the pain that we experience, Clement, and sometimes students don't understand this, is we have a scenario, and I'm going to give this particular example so that you have a particular understanding. We have an accommodation provider at the Valley University of Technology, who during the second semester or in the beginning of the year will arrange strip shows or welcoming parties with students and provide them with alcohol, invite strippers into that and say, no, these are consenting adults. Now, as NSFAS, we can't allow that, right? Students being students, sometimes they think, no, that we should allow them because they are adults, and we don't accredit such kind of accommodations. And then we get into friction with students who believe that because they are away from their parents, they must be allowed to drink, they must be allowed to come into a hostel anytime they like, they must be allowed to do all this kind of other things. We then take a posture that says, these students have been entrusted to us as an NSFAS on behalf of government. At the same time, we're entrusting the students to a university, and the university must make sure that the environment is conducive for learning. We don't believe the things that I've just said now really endanger a culture of learning that will allow that these students must be able to pass and leave. Remember, Clement, this money, whilst it is free for students to go at the university and TVET colleges, it is not free in the sense that they must really bring to the party themselves. They must apply themselves. They must pass. They must be able to progress. We're not funding students so that they then go and fail. We fund students that they must be able to pass so that the next cohort must be able to have spaces that we can be able to fund. Now, this is where the frictions comes in. But we are very blessed that we have student leaders that are able to engage with us, and in instances where this problem arises, they actually work with us quite well, and they understand the problems that they face.
Yeah, okay. I've got a few questions coming from our listeners. So let's start with some WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Yeah, good morning, Clement. I think the problem of NSFAS, man, it's only the outsourcing of the services. What's wrong with government if they have to pay the fees directly to the students and to the institutions? After all, these institutions are government owned. It'll be an easier thing. But now they have to outsource these services. They have to give out tenders to these services. And then remember, I studied under NSFAS. This thing we used to use the thing called SPACs. I mean, that thing will go 3 months without payment, man. And if you're not strong enough, you'll drop out. And then a lot of students are dropping. Now they hide behind the gambling or something like that. So South Africa, crime pays, man. So government, they think it's easy. Pay directly to the students and to the institutions. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that comment. Yeah, Professor Mathebula, is the problem here the outsourcing of services?
Look, Clement, I think as you can hear, this particular caller makes reference to the time when they were a student. So I accept that we come in and we have to live with the problems that we have found here. I'm only here 3 months. And I'm going to be here for 24 months to sort out all the myriad problems. So I'm quite happy that there's many solutions out there that people think that they can offer the entity. And it is this very clarion call that we make, that those who believe that they have solutions, let them assist us with those. What we know as today, as I'm speaking to you, Clement, is that we are disbursing the funds and to the intended beneficiaries, and those funds are reaching them as I speak to you today.
Okay.
There may have been historical issues, and we'll attend to those. Is the system in a perfect state? No, it's not. That's the reason why we're here. And I'm quite happy that we engage with the various stakeholders that do have solutions.
Mabuletso says on the WhatsApp line, "Hi Clement, I'm the Vice President of the SRC at UCT. I would like to ask Professor Mathebula a question about the accommodation crisis perpetuated by the NSFAS accommodation cap. How are they dealing with the accommodation cap?" Yes, Prof?
Yeah, so the issue around the accommodation cap, Clement, and thanks, Vice President, because I think that the Vice President understands this issue. If you do not cap, and I can understand where they come from. If you are in Cape Town, the value of properties in Cape Town and the real estate is very difficult, and as opposed to when you are in other parts of the country. However, NSFAS doesn't have infinite resources. NSFAS does have to look at over 800,000 students per year that it deals with. And all this will be in various areas. The issue of an accommodation cap, it's something that the portfolio committee is dealing with, the ministry is dealing with, and ourselves are dealing with, together with the student leaders. We are dealing with this issue. And I don't want to make a pronouncement in your show, Clement, that suggests that I have made a final determination that this is where we are going to go in respect of the cap, or this is where we are not going to go. Because this must be an outcome of a consultative process where all stakeholders must agree what the real problems are and what it is that we can be able to do with the particular issue. So I would really want to leave the matter at that.
Another person is asking here that, Clem, please can you ask the Prof there about this suggestion? What does he think about breaking NSFAS into provincial structures for better focus and efficiency? That's a question from Meza.
No, thanks so much for that question, Clement. It is not what we think. In fact, NSFAS will move its offices in the beginning of next year, and those offices are going to be based in Johannesburg. What we are going to do is that we are going to regionalize. We are regionalizing the office of NSFAS. So Gauteng, the Gauteng region will look after Mpumalanga, Limpopo, Northwest, and Gauteng. And then we will have a region in the Free State, which will look at Northern Cape, the Free State, and the Eastern Cape. And then we'll have Durban, which will be a standalone. And then we'll have a presence in Cape Town. This will ensure that we are closer to the universities and TVET colleges that we service, so that it doesn't take a day to reach to these entities or institutions to be able to resolve their issues. So no, you have gotten your wish, we have made that decision, and that is going to be happening.
All right, that takes us to 11:30. I see more of your calls and WhatsApps, your questions, suggestions coming through from Professor Mathebula. I'll come to them after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines as we continue this conversation about NSFAS's turnaround plan. They've now submitted a stabilization plan to try and restore stability to this embattled scheme. But what are the issues that they really need to address going forward? So keep your calls and your WhatsApps coming. Bali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. A very good morning to you. IDAC Head of Investigations and Operations Matthew Sissoko has explained to the Madlanga Commission how the unit decides which cases to investigate. He says IDAC follows a case selection criteria designed to determine whether a matter falls within the unit's mandate. Several witnesses have accused IDAC of targeting high-profile individuals in an effort to have them removed from their positions. The death of Celani Zungu, who was run over by an eThekwini municipality water tanker, has renewed scrutiny over ongoing supply disruptions across KwaZulu-Natal. Households and businesses have been contending with lack of provision for years now, leaving residents dependent on water tankers. An acting police minister, Feroz Kachalia, has convened a high-level meeting following a deadly winter initiation season across the country. At least 43 initiates have died since May this year. Mpumalanga recorded the highest number of deaths, followed by the Eastern Cape. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling in the Bedfordview area, we've got an accident on the R24 East. It happened right near the R24 N12 merge. It's causing delays coming out of the Kiluyis interchange. There's also still moving traffic on the N3 North. While traveling on the M2 West, there's delays just as you approach the main Reef Road exit. While in the Fourways area, or as you leave Fourways, we've got an accident reported right along the N1 South near Malibongwe Drive. Delays coming out of Winnie Mandela Drive. More updates at the top of the hour with Karabo Jali. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Success doesn't wait. It doesn't copy. It doesn't ask permission. It moves. Powered by 125 kilowatts of turbocharged performance, 270 Newton meters of torque, and a 7-speed DCT transmission. Designed with electrically adjustable front seats, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and an 8-speaker Sony sound system. The new Jetour Dashing. Success looks different. From 429,900. Get behind the wheel today.
Sharpen your competitive edge and get ready for the next installment of the Tournament of Champions. Do battle on the biggest stage and prepare for an epic showdown as you fight for your share of the 500,000 Rand prize. Bet R2 or more on selected spinner zonke slots to blaze a trail to the top of the leaderboard and claim victory.
T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Strong communities are built on a strong local government. Every day, municipalities work to deliver the essential services that improve lives and support thriving communities across South Africa. As the voice of local government, SALGA represents, supports, and empowers municipalities to build capable institutions, promote good governance, and advance effective service delivery. SALGA, inspiring service delivery.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
25 minutes before 12 o'clock on our Thursday dialogue this morning, we're in conversation with Professor Hlangani Mathebula, who is the latest administrator at NSFAS, the third one to be exact. They've presented this stabilization plan to the Minister of Higher Education, and we've been trying to figure out what exactly the plan entails and whether or not it actually is a plan that addresses the issues. And it's a plan that will take NSFAS out of its troubles. And I'd like to know what you think based on what you've heard so far. But I want to start with some of your WhatsApps that have come through on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Clement. Beautiful show as always. It's Pam here. I wanted to find out why is it that NSFAS is not funding like your privately owned institutions which provide your ICT-based courses, which are like 6 months into the course, a person can be able to get the skill and be able to have a job. Those are like such high demand skills that we need in the country. So rather than focus on other stuff that take longer, why not fund those institutions, even if they are private, or maybe insource them, have them, some of them fall under the government and be able to provide those skills, especially now because they are critical. Thank you for the wonderful show.
Good morning, Clement. I mean, as one of the student accommodation service provider for the University of Johannesburg, it doesn't really make sense for the institution to outsource accommodation money to external service providers. Why are they not allowing the university to distribute funds accordingly to service providers? I mean, I'll make you an example now. Student accommodation now, the current allowance is about 5,200, but we get charged over 200 rand by institutions such as Fundi, which is a lot. It really doesn't make sense. I mean, something must be done. Thank you. SK Waterfall here.
Good day. I would like for NSFAS to look into this couple of issues. I think the first one is when a person who is an SRD recipient registers and is afforded NSFAS, however, is unable to, when they study through UNISA, register for all modules in a year. That person literally becomes left without any allowances that can assist them, because NSFAS threshold of giving a living allowance is one to be registered for the full package of their subjects in that year. And so if you are unable to register all of them, you'll struggle to get the allowance. In fact, you can't get the allowance. And at the same time, when you are NSFAS registered, the SRD allowance falls off because SASSA takes it that you are NSFAS registered and are receiving allowances. I think there needs to be a conversation between NSFAS and SASSA to say, NSFAS to say, look, if people are not registered for certain modules, there needs to be that conversation that assists them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your WhatsApps. Let me give Professor Hlangani Mathebula an opportunity to respond, and then I'll bring in the other stakeholders to respond to the stabilization plan. Prof, there's a question there about NSFAS and SASSA needing to have a conversation, and the first one was around privately owned institution and why NSFAS is not playing in that space.
Yeah, no, thanks so much, Clement, and thanks to your listeners for the questions. The issue around SASA and NSFAS, the conversations are happening always with SASA, and as you will know that when you are a SASA recipient or your parents are SASA recipient, you get an automatic admission into an NSFAS funded bursary. Then you need to perform. The rest of the other conversation around if you are left with 2 courses or 3 courses, there is a particular policy that has been adopted in the past years, and that policy was implemented again this year. And I did make an intervention in respect of that specific matter because of the manner in which NSFAS had handled the issue in the beginning of the year, and later in the year we had sought to then stop. And I said, no, we can't do that because the students are in the system. But we can't continue to bend the rules when people know from the start that this is the rule, this is what needs to happen. Remember, we really do not have the sufficient resources to be able to fund everyone. And therefore, we do need to have certain cutoffs that should be able to allow that those that really follow within the criteria, the rules that were put in place, are fully funded and get all that they need to get. I don't see how a student that is registering for one module still needs to be able to insist that they need to be paid everything that they will have been due if they registered for 5 modules. Clearly, they are doing something else with their time, which we then need to understand what that is. And I think it's a conversation that we must have, and we must be honest about this, because it is then assumed that government just have this money that it's there that must just be spent. Unfortunately, we don't receive that money ourselves, and we need to prudent in how we manage the ones we have, number one. Number two, in respect of the privately owned institutions, NSFAS looks after 26 public universities and 50 TVET colleges. And it is in these TVET colleges that the technical and vocational studies then happen. But in addition to that, there are a number of sitters that specializes in specific issues, whether it is in technical or it is in that or the other. And all that forms part and parcel of what is underneath the Ministry of Department of Health, Department of Higher Education and Training. And it really to expect that NSFAS will then go and pull the privately owned entities as well into the fold, I think that will really stretch the little resources we have beyond what we can be able to manage, number one. Number two is that the very existence of those privately owned entities is precisely that there is a market for them. And that market is of people that don't qualify to be funded by NSFAS. And we must accept that. And we must encourage that must happen. And I think that, for me, Clement should be able to suffice for that question.
Got you. All right, Professor Hlangani Mathebula, I think I'll leave it there. But before you go, because we also want to be able to hold you accountable as the administrator, by the end of your term as administrator, what measurable improvements should students and the public expect NSFAS to have achieved?
I think when the term of this administration ends, we should look at an entity that has been returned to a normal governance, and that it is governed appropriately, and it is that institution that doesn't consistently is looked at for problems that we have seen in the past. We should have an ICT and data integrity and the analytics that goes with that, which is unquestionable. We should be able to support students much more fairly, and students must really take the ownership and see that this institution, it is the real institution that they have hoped for and that government had sought to create when it introduced the issue around a free fund-free education that we have, and that the stakeholders have confidence in the institution. Currently, the level of confidence in the institution is really at the lowest level, and you then don't blame stakeholders for all the manner of complaints and blames and all the other things that happens. But ultimately, Clement, as the government gazette requires of me, is that I should produce a future funding, student funding model that will last longer, to the extent that we do not have to have another administration or another rupture in all manner of things that can happen at NSFAS. I think if we are able to do that, we will have delivered what our mandate has been about.
Prof, thank you so much for making time. Professor Hlengani Mathebula is the administrator at NSFAS. It's 15 now before 12.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
All right, I want to bring in other stakeholders now and people that have tried to get NSFAS to really reform for the benefit of students. We've got Sihle Lonzi, who is a member of parliament with the EFF, and Hendrik Makaneta, who is an education activist. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. Sihle, let me start with you. When you look at this stabilization plan submitted by this administrator, does it respond to the real problems that students are facing?
No, thank you, Clement, and good morning to the listeners at home and the co-panelists. I'll sound like a broken telephone. Look, we've seen this before. I mean, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme has been put under administration 3 times in less than a decade, if not 8 years. So all of them, when they come in, they bring in the stabilization plans, but ultimately, the structural problems of NSFAS persist. Now, I would have liked to hear from the administrator, and I'm not hearing this. NSFAS outsources a lot of its core functions. And I think the Minister of Finance late last year finally agreed with the view of the EFF to say NSFAS in its nature is supposed to be a middleman, in a way, if I can put it commonly, between government and our institutions. But instead of performing that core function of being that bridge, they then go and create these other many bridges. I was happy I was listening to one of the callers who was a landlord who says they don't even get paid all their money because NSFAS has to send this money to someone else and someone else has to pay it. If you look at the consultancy that happens at the ICT, including the administration itself, by the way, we're just going to be sending more questions to the minister because we just recently learned, remember, the administrator's remuneration and allowances must be approved by the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance is yet to approve the remuneration of the administrator and his 4 advisors. What these guys have then gone to do, instead of paying the advisors in a normal payroll, if it was, a normal process, they go and pay private companies that belong to 2 of the advisors. I'm just making an example here to say they were not going to fix the problems of NSFAS, which we believe majority of them are man-made, because it's always a fight about who can gain more power and control over the state resources, as opposed to saying, how do we use the little resources we do have now to be able to fund more students? I mean, the administrator says we don't have money to fund everyone. So how do you explain paying over 200 million rands to 4 middlemen companies each and every year, on a function that NSFAS should be able to do in-house? So the money is there, but there simply isn't political will to say, how do we make NSFAS work for students, for young people of South Africa? But it's a fight about who can loot the quickest, who can take out of the system the more. So I've seen this before. This is the 3rd administrator that I'm dealing with at NSFAS. I've seen this stabilization plan before. But if there is no political will, it's not worth the paper that it's written on.
So then there's going to be repetition and repetition, the same cycle. Hendrik, let me bring you in. The current administrator, with the release of this plan, and we'll speak about the solutions in a moment, but do you think that the real crisis at NSFAS is one of governance incompetence? Is it one of political interference? Or we're talking here about deeper structural problems in how student funding is managed?
Well, Clement, thank you very much indeed. I think that there is no doubt that what is revealed on the stabilization report, is deeper problems facing the funding scheme. And it shows that these problems have been happening over a number of years. Poor leadership is one of those. And of course, the weak financial controls as well. I agree with Closey that, there must be a way forward, instead of from time to time having to appoint an administrator or, creating these other many bridges. But of course, this report is very important because finally we are able to look at the root causes, of these problems instead of just dealing with the symptoms. So if you look at what the administrator has outlined, he has got a plan to fix all of these challenges. And part of the plan, as Professor Matebula has recently said, includes improving leadership and accountability. And of course, we know that plans are there to fix, as you have said, but ultimately, parents and students want funding. Parents are not really interested in the plans or preparations that are being made by the scheme under the administrator. All they need is to see their children attending at different institutions of higher learning. All they need is to see their children progressing. And I think that is something that will come at the end of this particular preparation that is being put in place by profs. We want to see a situation whereby in the next 10 years or even in the next 20 years, there's no administrator. We've got a functional board that can be able to deal with every challenge that students come across.
So I saw the Deputy Minister, Yusuf Kasim, saying that the current NSFAS model isn't working, and he's suggesting bringing funding closer to universities and colleges. It's a suggestion that's been made before, but yeah, Hendrik, is decentralization the answer?
Clement, during our days, remember, NSFAS used to be called the Tertiary Education Fund of South Africa. It was called TEFSA. Back in the days, TEFSA used to work in that way. The proposal that has been made by the Deputy Minister to say each and every university will be able to get an allocation and, run it from their side. It used to work. I think that is one part of the solution that can be looked at. But I think that, for every challenge that we are facing, we must be able to look at the long-term sustainability of the fund itself. We welcome the progress that has been made by the administrator for the past 90 days. And we honestly think that, we can certainly go a long way. Because remember, there are just too many problems. Even the problem of the missing middle students has not been entirely resolved. So the real measure of the success of this process that we are currently debating will be whether the lives of students are able to improve or not.
Yeah. So, Sihle, let's look at then the oversight mechanisms here, because I'm just wondering if Parliament's review of the NSFAS Act should fundamentally sort of redesign the institution, or do we need just to simply strengthen oversight? Because Parliament allocates billions to NSFAS annually, but are we receiving sufficient accountability from the scheme?
I think we certainly do need to strengthen oversight in Parliament, and perhaps it's something that we've seen come out more outrightly in this administration. And I would credit that to the fact that the voters of 2024 actually made it possible such that one political party isn't able to use its majority to almost outvote everything. So I think generally what we've been seeing over the past year, the accountability, whether it's the former minister, current minister, the work in the sitters, is a product of a parliament that is working. But again, I don't share the optimism around this administration, and it's because we have been here before. So the view that there's this piece of paper and things are going to improve, I think I will only give the administrator the benefit of the doubt when he comes out and says, at NSFAS, we're cutting out the middlemen. We're building internal capacity. We're going to save money that is meant to fund more students. We're going to finalize the appeals. That is the language that we want to hear from an administrator, not a fairy tale story of how we do this. We've heard that before. We heard it from Nomvalo. We heard it from the first administrator. I mean, there have been about 3, if not 4 CEOs at NSFAS. 3, if not 4 board chairpersons. The board chairperson resigned last year. So the problem is political interference. If the politicians in government, in the department, in the form of the minister and all the other players, were to allow professionals to run these entities outside of the interference, outside of forcing them to say, appoint this company, do this, NSFAS can work. But so long as we've got politicians who want to interfere in the internal controls of NSFAS, interfere in how money is allocated, interfere in how contracts are, and tenders are pushed, NSFAS is not going to work. I can tell you now, I don't want to sound like a doomsayer, but 2-3 years from now, we'll be told that there's a new administrator.
Sure, a 4th one now. Sihlelonzi, EFF Member of Parliament, thank you so much for joining us, together with Hendrik Makaneta, who is an education activist. I want to go to your calls now in some WhatsApps that have come through. Zongezile, let's start with you. You are in Auckland Park. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Clement. Clement, very quickly, I just wanted to contribute by saying the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. Why can't we pay directly to the universities? This was the situation back then, and we hardly, as a service provider, we hardly had issues of payments, because the university has internal systems that are able to manage this very well. But since we have these middlemen who are bleeding millions out of NSFAS, we're having a lot of problems. So I'm saying let's cut the middleman, let's go directly to universities. Then we won't have issues. Currently, Clement, we just had students who were defunded. They were funded at the beginning of the year. Now they're defunded. As a service provider, I have to accommodate these students. How do I tell these students to go back home when I know they cannot afford? One of the parents called me and said, hey, look, I do not work. Nobody works. We cannot afford to pay. And these students stay far away from home. What do? I still have the students. But at the beginning of the year, I was told the student is funded. In the middle of the year, the student is defunded. That's a business risk for me, because I'm accommodating students and I have to pay all the bills. And NSFAS all of a sudden says, no, the student is defunded. You figure out how you go forward with the students. And I think that's very unfair. So I'm saying let's cut out the middleman. Let's stop bleeding millions upon millions to just middlemen who are doing nothing but just robbing us.
So Ngezile, I hear you. And I hear your frustration. Thank you for calling us in Auckland Park. And I mean, you're speaking from experience as someone who owns student accommodation. It's 3 minutes now before 12.
Smart business decisions save money. Switch to Outsurance Business Insurance and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium. Here's JC from Blonde Hair Studio.
I was with my previous insurer for many years before switching over to Outsurance Business Insurance. I'm really happy with the premium I'm paying now, and switching was definitely one of the best decisions for my business.
Get a quote to switch and save today. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 0800 60,000. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions, deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
Don't worry, bro. That noise just means the engine is purring, like a lion.
It's not a purr, man. Your clutch is slipping. Pull into Goldwagen right now.
Goldwagen? For Nissan?
Yes. They supply precision-engineered Schaeffler clutches, wheel bearings and timing kits for Ford, Hyundai, Nissan and more.
Wow. What about Toyotas and Suzukis?
Goldwagen has quality vehicle parts for every brand.
Okay, I'm going.
Goldwagen. Keep on driving.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, coming up next, the midday report with Jane in for Mendy this morning. Jane, how are you doing?
I'm doing
Very well, thank you. Really feels that this country and the security system has been captured, right? President Ramaphosa has noted the Madlanga Commission's second report wants 4 people investigated. I'm interested in the names that didn't make it on there. You know, who is being protected. At the Commission, IDAC's Matthew Siseko takes a stand after a week of forgery claims against his former boss, Andrea Johnson. And this is a horrific figure. 1 in 3 adults are without work. And you wonder what point this stops becoming a statistic and rather a national emergency.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much, Jane Dutton. That's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Jane Dutton. That and more. But also keep listening to the Madlanga Commission and watching it very closely. Sisoko, I think is the head of investigations at IDAC, certainly a senior official at IDAC. He has reiterated the criteria for a case to meet IDAC's mandate, because that's what they're questioning him about. What is the process that you follow before you can take up a case as IDAC? So stay listening to 702 to get the latest out of the Madlanga Commission. Thank you for listening to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We're back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon. I'm Bali Dlamini. IDAC heads which cases to investigate. He says IDAC follows a case selection criteria designed to determine whether a matter falls within the unit's mandate. Several witnesses have accused IDAC of targeting high-profile